Hello, greetings and welcome. Welcome to the 2020 Silk Road's ICH networking program. We are looking forward to hearing from experts in the cultural heritage field to gain better insight into how we can operate a cultural heritage network based along the Silk Roads. My name is Michael, and I'm with the Office of Strategic Development at ISHCAP, and I'll be your host for the next 2 days. Before starting today's events, I'd like to play a few congratulatory remarks from our esteemed collaborators from throughout the Silk Road region.
Distinct participant of the online strategic meeting for Silk Road's Intangible Cultural Heritage Networks. Dear guests, I am confident that we will come together on various occasions very soon. Thank you.
Сайн байцгаана уу та бүхэнд энэ өдрийн мэндийг хүргье. Дэлхийн соёлын өвийг хамгаалж явдаг ЮНЕСКО болон түүний салбар хүрээлэн болох Төв Азийн судалгааны хүрээлэнгээс зохион байгуулсан торгоны замын дагуух бие цус соёлын өвийн судалгааг Монгол улстай зохион байгуулсандаа баяртай байна. Бидний энэхүү судалгаанд дурддагдж буй баяр наадмууд нь торгоны замын дагуух ард түмнүүдийг улам ойртуулан тэдний нөхөрлөлийг бэхжүүлнэ гэдэгт итгэлтэй байна. Ингээд хамтран ажилласан Төв Азийн судалгааны хүрээлэнтэй баярлалаа. Та бүхдийн цаашдын ажид улам их амжилт хийх хүсье.
Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli anjuman ishtirokchilari. O'zbekistondagi Umrboqiy meros nodavlat notijorat tashkilotining alangali samimiy salomlarini qabul qilgaysiz. Buyuk Ipak yo'lida joylashgan nomoddiy madaniy meroslarni targ'ib qilish ishlarini bizning tashkilotimiz qo'llab-quvvatlaydi hamda bu borada sizlarni hamkorlikka chaqiradi. Barchangizga sog'lik, salomatlik va omadlar yor bo'lsin.
Assalomu alaykum anjuman ishtirokchilari. Marg'ilon shahrida 2015-yildan buyon har yili sentyabr oyida o'tkaziladigan Atlas bayrami xalqaro festivalining tashkilotchisi. 2017-yilda Atlas va adras tayyorlashning ilg'or tajribasi UNESCOning nomoddiy madaniy meros ro'yxatiga kiritilgan hunarmandchilikni rivojlantirish markazi nomidan tabriklayman. Anjuman qatnashchilariga nomoddiy madaniy merosni saqlash va uni tarqalishdagi ishlariga chuqur minnatdorchiligimni bildiraman. E'tiborlaringiz uchun rahmat.
Saygıdeğer katılımcılar, hanımefendiler, beyefendiler. Uluslararası Orta Asya Araştırmaları Enstitüsü, içinden geçmekte olduğumuz şu salgın günlerinde çok değerli ve anlamlı bir projeye imza atmıştır. Bu projeye katılan bütün ülkeleri ve emek veren uzmanları kutluyorum. Festivaller, somut olmayan kültürel miras unsurları içerisinde insanları bir araya getiren, kaynaştıran, coşturan, eğlendiren değerli bir imkan ve fırsat sunmaktadır. Özellikle İpek Yolu üzerinde kültürel mirasların kuşaktan kuşağa aktarımında büyük bir deneyim ve büyük bir birikim bulunmaktadır. Dolayısıyla enstitümüzün yapmış olduğu bu çalışma gelecek kuşaklar için son derece önemli ve ışık tutan bir proje olmuştur.
I would like to welcome all the participants of the virtual conference on life, environment and ICH along the Silk Road. We are very pleased that despite of the fact that distance separates us, today we are in touch and can discuss important issues related to the intangible cultural heritage face to face. On behalf of the Tajik delegation of experts, first of all, let me thank the organizers of this conference who did a great work to gather us together. and I hope that during 2 days of the event, many issues of protection, development, and transmission of a tangible cultural heritage will be clarified. The conference can serve in raising public awareness of the ICH and strengthening cooperation between experts. Sustainable measures will also be taken to present the intangible cultural heritage related to celebrations and festivals in the region. I wish every success to work of today's scientific conference and believe that this new platform of cooperation will help us to achieve our future goals. Thank you very much for your attention.
Distinguished participants of the online webinar, it's a great pleasure
adət-ənənələrin yaranmasına səbəb olan möhtəşəm bir yoldur. Mən çox şadam ki, bu il fevral ayında təşkilatımız və İKAS arasında İpək yolunun da araşdırmalarını nəzərdə tutan anlaşma memorandumu imzalanmışdır. Sizin hər birinizə bu gözəl və şərəfli işdə uğurlar arzuluyorum.
Уважаемые почетные гости, организаторы и участники вебинара к возрождению славы Шелкового пути. Позвольте от имени Международной организации Тюркской академии поприветствовать в вашем лице Центр нематериального культурного наследия ИЧКАП и Международный институт центральноазиатских исследований, а также всех участников сегодняшнего мероприятия. Сохранение нематериального культурного наследия с упором на культуру народов тюркской языковой семьи и в целом алтайской общности является одной из основных задач Международной тюркской академии. ЮНЕСКО и ее структуры являются важным партнером и академией. На сегодняшний день нами совместно проведен ряд мероприятий высокого уровня. Хотелось бы отдельно высказать поддержку проведению ИЧКАП-фестивалей на Шелковом пути, посвященных культуре народов Азиатско-Тихоокеанского региона. Выражаю надежду, что пандемия COVID-19 останется позади и наше сотрудничество приобретет еще более активный характер. От всей души желаю плодотворной работы участникам вебинара.
We thank our collaborative partners for their video presentations. And now I would like to present a video presentation by Jae-Suk Jung, the administrator of the Cultural Heritage Administration. With great respect, we thank her for her welcoming message.
Good day, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jae-Suk Jung, Administrator of the Cultural Heritage Administration of Korea. I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the 2020 Silk Road ICH networking meeting being held despite the difficult situation caused by COVID-19. Due to COVID-19, our lives are faced with significant changes. Transmission and safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage are also being greatly impacted. However, one of the traits of the intangible cultural heritage is that in response to the environment it is in, it constantly recreates itself. I believe whatever the crisis may be, intangible cultural heritage will safeguard its inherent value while it overcomes the challenges, and in the process, it will in turn render yet another invaluable virtue to us. This meeting has been put together to discuss the intangible cultural heritage along the Silk Road and ways to establish a network. And I believe this gathering is also a response to the change in environment we are in and efforts to overcome another crisis. I truly hope this meeting serves as an opportunity to forge cooperation in the areas of safeguarding intangible cultural heritage between the Silk Road countries and the Republic of Korea. The administration of cultural heritage, along with ICHCAP, will closely cooperate to safeguard intangible heritage in the Silk Road regions. The meeting is unfortunately not face-to-face, but I still expect unswerving determination and passion of the participating experts. Last but not least, I would like to thank the organizers and staff for hosting the event, and everyone, stay safe and healthy. Thank you very much.
We graciously appreciate her support and remarks, as well as the generous support of the Cultural Heritage Administration. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Sung-in Kim, the Executive Director of the Korea Central Asian Cooperation Forum Secretariat, to say a few welcoming remarks.
Distinguished guests, Director General Ki-hung Kim of UNESCO ICHCAP, Dmitry Voikin, Director of the International Institute for Central Asian Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to everyone who are participating at this conference where we will be announcing the launch of the Silk Road ICH network. I would like to especially take this opportunity to thank UNESCO ICHCAP and ICAS for all of your tireless support and appreciation. The Silk Road ICH network will allow us to deepen the interest and understanding of intangible cultural heritage in the Silk Road regions, while sharing knowledge and wisdom of all participants, and allow for us to engage in further communication. Korea has undergone rapid industrialization and modernization, but it has still introduced a system to safeguard intangible cultural properties, which is why I believe we can contribute substantially to the ICH network. In 2007, Korea and 5 countries in Central Asia organized a ministerial-level multilateral forum called the Korea Central Asia Cooperation Forum, which has been held annually since then to engage more cooperation in various mutually cooperative fields. Our Secretariat has supported the work at the Korea Central Asia Cooperation Forum, and we have been interested in the promotion of Central Asian culture. For instance, the Spring Festival of Central Asia, known as Nowruz, which was inscribed as the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage, has also been celebrated in Korea since 2018. This festival has established itself as a way of cultural exchange to introduce Central Asian culture and the arts to the Korean people. Going forward, we will continue to engage in close partnership with many partners, including UNESCO ICHCAP, so that we can help to allow the flourishing of Central Asian culture. This also, recently, the Silk Road has been highlighted once again as the former trade route between ancient civilizations, which also means that there is more interest devoted to Central Asia itself, which was at the center of the Silk Road trade since ancient times and played a role in facilitating dialogue and exchange among civilizations. This region is renowned for its nomadic culture, where nomads journeyed across the steppes to live their lives, and their traditional customs and wisdoms, passed down through generations, were transmitted in oral form, which is why it's very important for us to discover and reinterpret the ICH in this region, and the vitality and sustainability of Silk Road ICH festivals are very important indeed, which is why I believe it is timely for us to gather here and discuss the establishment of an ICH, a Silk Road network. Over the next 2 days, we will be discussing the establishment of such a network. And through the Silk Road ICH network, I hope we can share experiences and talk more about what we can do to better understand and help foster ICH cooperation in the region. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kim, for your kind remarks as well as for being a cooperative partner for our event. Next, I would like to invite Dmitry Voykan, Director of ICAS, to speak on behalf of his organization and give a few remarks about the project on which we are collaborating.
Hello, dear colleagues. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to extend our warm greetings to the Forum of Intangible Cultural Heritage stakeholders representing governmental and non-governmental organizations, researchers and practitioners, international agencies and local communities. I represent International Institute, which was created in 1995 in Samarkand of Uzbekistan as outcome of the UNESCO Decade Program Integral Studies of the Silk Road, Roads of Dialogue. Currently, 11 countries located along Silk Roads are member states of ICAS. The mandate of the Institute is to encourage and develop international scientific cooperation on Silk Road's heritage studies. ICAS fosters cooperation not only with member states. The Institute has a wide network of associated members, including major universities, organizations, and research centers with focus on cultural heritage. Thus, during 25 years of its operation, ICAS organized numerous scientific expeditions, training courses, seminars, and conferences, and published more than 100 monographs. I am proud to outline that ICAS was the first partner organization in Central Asia with which ICCAP established networking collaboration. Our partnership, which continues since 2009, resulted in joint project of Silk Road ICH networking. Survey on Silk Road ICH network has been implemented in April, October of this year in 9 countries located along the Silk Road. We observed numerous examples of connectivity between various local groups and or communities, cultural identity. Moreover, studies stimulated critical thinking about interlinkage of cultural and natural heritage along the Silk Road between 1972 World Heritage Convention and 2003 Convention of Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage. Participants of this survey expressed their views on relation between ICH and tourism, between ICH and sustainable development, or on the role of ICH in the period of pandemics. Some ICH elements become assets for social development programs and provide inputs for the creative industries. However, research and information exchange between all ICH stakeholders on sustainable development of local communities, on impact of development programs on ICH elements and on the communities concerned should be further developed. Information exchange and networking can help to understand these issues in order to link ICH safeguarding more effectively with the social and economic development. To my optimistic view, Silk Road ICH network could create new possibilities for safeguarding cultural heritage and preserving environment as a major component in building a sustainable cultural vision for entire world. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Well, thank you, Mr. Voyakin, for speaking as well as being a representative of ECAS, our cooperative partner for this event. Now I'd like to ask Director Gi-hyung Kim of ISHCAP to give a few words.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kim Gi-hyung, Director General of ISHCAP. Today, I'm very happy to speak with you. Actually, today's meeting, there are many attendees and participants from 10 countries and 20 more partner institutions and observers. We are being together for discussing and find a good way of the Silk Road ICH network. Also, I really express sincere thank you to the Minister, Madam Chung Jae-soo of the Korean Cultural Heritage Administration, and then Mr. Ambassador Kim Sung-in, Executive Director of the Korea Central Asia Cooperation Forum Secretariat, and then Dr. Dmitry Boyakan, Director of the International Institute for Central Asian Studies. This year, as many people mentioned, we are facing some challenges from the COVID-19 pandemic. However, even though we are facing many difficulties, we found a good solution overcoming this kind of some challenges. So this meeting, even though we are apart, but we are meeting at the same time, at the same place, under the same agenda, with the good will to find a good solution about our cooperation or how we can effectively promote tangible cultural heritage cultures, and then how we can find a good way cooperate with each other. So I think, thank you to the ICH technology, we are now on the better condition to share our ideas, our thoughts with together. As you may well know, the main value of ISHCAP is information sharing and network building. I think today's Silk Road meeting is a good example which are really matching the aims we are looking forward. More than 10 countries, really high-level experts are meeting together. We are sharing our expertise and knowledges, and also we are finding a better way how we can make a good product of our meetings. So really, today's meeting is very meaningful. I know that even though there is many difficulties, the important value of intangible cultural heritage does not change, because intangible cultural heritage is a real essence of our human beings. So the more there is challenges, probably we'll find a better way based on our in-depth knowledge, in-depth experience about the intangible cultural heritage. I know that Silk Road is a very, very famous, and many people have a dream to joining this kind of the Silk Road and this kind of a project. So really thank you, ICAS. Really thank you, Korea Central Asia Cooperation Forum Secretariat, because now we are hand in hand, find and cooperate each other to find a better solution, how we can recover, revitalization of the Silk Road glorious cultures, and then how we can move forward for the next generation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Director Gum, your words are encouraging not only for ISHCAP but also for the project underway. With the formalities complete, I welcome the official opening of the webinar, Life, Environment, and ICH Along the Silk Roads. I ask, with all due respect, that the speakers keep to the rather strict timeline of 15 minutes each. Your cooperation is appreciated. Now, we'd like to take a short break to set up the panel, and we'll reconvene in about 5 minutes, which was cut off. I invite Professor Eunkyung Oh of the Turk Institute of Dongduk University to open and moderate this afternoon's webinar and panel discussion. Professor Oh is the director of the Institute of the Eurasian Turkic Studies and holds other respected positions and is widely published. So it is a great honor to introduce Professor Oh.
Thank you very much for your kind word, Michael. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the session. My name is Eunkyung Oh, Professor of Turkology, a specialist of Turkic country. I am delighted to have the opportunity to moderate this afternoon session regarding life, environment, and ICH along the Silk Road. For this conference, ICCAP has teamed up with the Korea Central Asia Cooperation Forum Secretariat and ICAS to develop a survey about ICH festivals along the Silk Road. This program is the first phase of the long-term commitment to extend the network to include other ICH forms in the future. ICCAP has supported ICH networking in Central Asia, the Northern Silk Road axis, for the past decades. ICCAP and Uzbekistan signed a three-party MOU to activate Silk Road intangible cultural heritage networks in 2019, which was followed by a Central Asia sub-regional network meeting in Almaty, Kazakhstan, 2019. So I would like to thank to ICCAP, ICAS, and KF for hosting this important conference here in Seoul, and also online webinar conference. We've got terrific panel for you this afternoon. Well, hope that you are as excited as I am about the quality of the speakers. The objective of this panel will be to provide you through different presentations with an overall view of what is the role of ICH along Silk Road is today, where it is going, what the opportunity and challenges are, and role of that ICH is playing. Afterwards, as I said before, hopefully we'll get a lot of questions, and more hopefully, even be able to answer them. The format we are going to use today is basically as follows. To begin with, each speaker will give presentation in 15 minutes. Afterwards, we'll get into a question and answer session. We are delighted to welcome a very distinguished panel of experts, and we look forward to their remark and to lively question and answer session following their presentation. I'd also like to welcome the people that are joining us today over the internet. We are running the meeting live over the internet for people that aren't here personally from all over the world. You can see that our YouTube channel too. Also, during the day today, we are going to be posting the slides as those are presented. We provide simultaneous presentation into 3 languages too, English, Russian, and Korea. We hope we do a good job here today with this panel. So our first panelist is going to be a world-renowned ecologist, Ms. Helena Novorhos. Let me shortly, I will introduce her briefly. Helena Novorhos is a pioneer of the new economy movement and recipient of the Alternative Nobel Prize, the Arthur Morgan Award, and the Goi Peace Prize for contributing to the revitalization of cultural and biological diversity and the strengthening of local communities and economies worldwide. She is the author of the inspiration of classic Asian futures and local is our future. Here, she is going to talking about humanity, environment, and Silk Road. Please welcome Ms. Helena Novorhos. I would like to turn podium over to Ms. Helena Novorhos. Please welcome her.
Thank you very much, Dr. O, and I'm very honored to have this chance to speak to you today. I'm coming from a very unusual perspective. I've been spending a lot of time at the grassroots around the world in many different cultures, but it was above all my experiences in Ladakh, or Little Tibet, as it was also known, a Tibetan region in India, that I arrived in 1975. I learned to speak the language fluently, and I ended up devoting many years of my life trying to work with the local people to protect their cultural self-respect and their relatively self-reliant economy from the impact of conventional development and globalization. So this experience opened my eyes to the fact that literally in every culture around the world today, we are being affected by a global monoculture, a consumer monoculture. It's being promoted through conventional schooling. It's being promoted, of course, through the media, and now also through the social media. I believe that we have an emergency situation, not just because of climate change and the extreme and rapid loss of biodiversity, but because of the loss of self-esteem, the loss of identity, particularly among our young people. I have worked enough at the grassroots around the world to be very clear about what we need to do to support deep self-respect, confidence, and mental health, especially among young people. And it starts with rebuilding the fabric of local face-to-face community relationships. It's particularly important that we support festivals or other cultural activities that carry on with the intergenerational connections that existed in all cultures through the ages. It is equally important that we support the deep connection to nature that is what gave rise to cultural diversity. The reason we have different cultures around the world is that people were relating to their particular environment, their particular climate, and this is how the richness of culture arose. I think that without the bigger picture, to understand that the global economic system is linked to educational and communication tools that promote monoculture. If we don't see that, and if we don't try to encourage much more local cultural relationships and cultural traditions, I think we will see, as I say, even worse epidemics of depression, anxiety, and serious mental health issues. My experience in Ladakh and Bhutan, also in Sweden, where I grew up, is also that the cultural pressures, the psychological pressures on people are connected to a rise in fundamentalism, polarization, extreme divisiveness. And this is happening around the world. Why? Why is it happening? The monocultural system that's promoted through the global economy is also creating insecurity in livelihoods. People are experiencing extreme fear and insecurity in terms of how to just pay for the food on their table, have a house, a roof over their head. And why is this happening? We have been studying the impact of the global economy, particularly studied it with a group of 40 people from every continent. And what we found is that our governments are blindly supporting global banks and corporations. These global banks and corporations don't pay tax, and they're being deregulated. In the meanwhile, in every country, the smaller businesses, the local businesses that pay tax are being squeezed for regulations, very heavy regulation. Now, what I'm saying can sound revolutionary. I am not a revolutionary. I don't believe in revolution, but I believe that the time has come for us to look honestly at what's happening and to look at the big picture so that we can together collaborate across borders between government and big business, but also engaging civic society, the communities of the environmental movements, the social rights movements, and the representatives, particularly of small farmers around the world. We need to have a thorough, clear picture to understand why things are going very wrong, why it is that CO2 emissions are still increasing, why it is that we see very, very serious losses in biodiversity that we cannot ignore. And these, of course, are completely connected to the loss of cultural diversity. As we lose the languages, we are losing the knowledge about biodiversity. To restore that, it's not possible to go back. It's not possible to build walls around cultures. I don't think most young people would want that. I don't think most people want that. We have found in our work that a deeper dialogue between the most, if you like, developed, urbanized countries, including the United States and Scandinavia, with countries that are so-called less developed, a deeper dialogue and exchange, an honest exchange though, can be extremely helpful in understanding that America has not arrived at some kind of success story. America has more serious poverty than almost any country in the world. And yet we are blindly following an economic model that believes that bigger and faster and more competitive is the only way to go. Now, we are part of a movement that we've started from the grassroots, where people are demonstrating that when they support local businesses, local community building, and the local environment, and encourage a more direct relationship with nature in the place where people live. When people do that, we are showing that biodiversity can be restored, productivity can increase, and the number of meaningful livelihoods can increase. In this movement, the most important area that demonstrates without a shadow of the doubt why we need to support local economies is to look at food and farming. Food and farming is the absolute foundation for a healthy economy. It was the foundation of our cultures for our entire evolution. As people reconnect between consumers and farmers in a local food movement, we are witnessing a deep, archaic restoration of what it is to be human. People love to be in touch with the land that's producing their food, with the animals that are being killed and that they're eating, but they understand and feel a resonance with this very important activity, an activity that always has been connected also to our celebrations in cultures, in other words, food. Collecting, hunting, harvesting, processing, cooking together has been a way of celebrating. This local food movement, despite almost no help from the UN or any government, almost no help from the media or academia, is still growing. And it's quite a miracle. And I think the only reason it's growing is because it resonates so deeply with people. Now, the other thing that happens is that when you shorten the distance between the farm and the market, you are creating a free market pressure that pushes the farmers to diversify. When you produce for more and more distant markets, you are being pressured to grow bigger and bigger monocultures. Those monocultures are killing the soil, they are destroying biodiversity, they are threatening our survival. We are told now that we don't have many more harvests. I hope that some of you will listen to this and that you will pay attention to the grassroots local food movement as one of the most important movements to support in your work. If you're concerned with cultural heritage, be concerned with agricultural heritage. Study and learn from the local food movement, which is demonstrating that you can increase productivity when you diversify. On this crowded planet, it's essential that we support smaller diversified farms. It is absolutely not true that because we're so many people, we need larger scale farms, or that we need genetic engineering, which destroys biodiversity. Any bit of land, if you plant a range of things, included fruits, vegetables, some animals, maybe some grain, you will always be able to get more from that bit of land than if you do just one thing. So it's a fact, it's a truth, but it's one that is not being disseminated widely. I really sincerely hope you will look at this. I also hope you will see that when people have started with local food and they go on to support local energy production, when they go on to support local financing initiatives, they're rebuilding more human scale systems of interdependence. And these interdependent structures reduce the conflict and the polarization that is occurring as people are pulled into bigger and bigger cities, fighting for a few jobs. Now, after COVID, we have a very clear choice. Are we going to support more and more technology, using more and more energy, more and more minerals, and remove more and more people from the workplace?
Ms. Helena, I'm sorry for that. Because of time limitation, can you wrapping up shortly in 30 seconds?
Yes. So we now have this choice between going more competitive, faster, monocultural, technology-based path, or start looking at more sophisticated technologies that are adapted to place, international collaboration to localize instead of continuing in the competitive globalizing path. So localization is the economics of happiness. It's what I described in my book, Ancient Futures. And I hope that some of you will look at our materials which spell out the big picture. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your very meaningful presentation. I'm very sorry for that. Because of time limitation, we could not give you enough time for the presentation. I'm sorry for that. Our second panelist is Dr. Sung-Yong Park, who is currently the Assistant Director General at ICCAP, a UNESCO Category 2 center in South Korea. He is also Editor-in-Chief of the ICH Courier, a quarterly magazine in the ICH field. He earned his PhD in Heritage Studies on the University of Queensland and authored on Intangible Heritage Safeguarding Governance on Asia-Pacific Context, published by Cambridge Scholars Publishing in 2013. To promote ICH in the region, he has been working to build network and information structures to safeguard ICH by establishing and operating sub-regional network in the Asia-Pacific region for more than a decade. He started sub-regional networking of the Asia-Pacific region from the Central Asia meeting held in Tashkent in 2010 and traveled to many heritage cities in Central Asia. Based on outcomes of his decade-long contributions in the ICH field in Central Asia, he is now working on generating a Silk Road ICH network in cooperation with various stakeholders in Silk Road area. In addition, he has a very big credit for hosting this event. So, without further delay, I would like to turn over the podium to Dr. Sang-Yong Park. He's going to be talking about on the collaborative mechanism for Silk Road ICH. Please give him a very warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. First, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our friends and colleagues who have collaborated to safeguard ICH in Asia-Pacific region, especially in Central Asia. I think our time and efforts over the last decade have led to this meaningful discussion today. I've been engaged with facilitating cultural development and cultural networking in the UNESCO field for many years. In particular, having this experience, I feel that we can win the synergetic effects further with each other by promoting ICH through collaborative mechanism along the Silk Road at both regional and global levels. ICCAP, as a UNESCO Category 2 center specialized in the ICH field, has supported the 48 member states in the Asia-Pacific region in pursuit of the public interest internationally. Based on its primary functions, which are in building networks and sharing information, ICCAP has now taken the initiative of organizing today's webinar and strategic meeting on the Silk Road ICH. Today, I'm going to talk about few aspects of the rationale of the collaborative mechanism for the Silk Road's ICH network. As you are aware, there have been new and different approaches in understanding and interpreting ICH, which is living heritage transmitted across generations throughout human history. In brief, ICH is manifested in the domains of oral traditions and expressions, performing arts, social practices, rituals, and festive events, and knowledge and practices relating to nature and the universe, as well as traditional craftsmanship. ICH involves the cultural development of humanity and has accumulated for thousands of years. So when asked why we should care about ICH, I can only wonder how one cannot care in terms of promoting cultural identity and cultural understanding and fostering an environment of peace. It seems that we have nothing to lose and everything to gain by supporting efforts to safeguard ICH by transmitting this essential cultural knowledge to younger generations. The 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage brought about a new paradigm in cultural policy, shifting from tangible to intangible aspects, stressing ICH's importance as a mainspring of cultural diversity and a guarantee of sustainable development. According to various reports on the feedback from ICH communities, it is said that ICH safeguarding has lifted local communities' ability to sustain their ICH as well as their development. This is especially the case of member states along the Silk Roads, and why this webinar and meeting have such significance. UNESCO implemented the decade projects of integral study of the Silk Roads of dialogue in 1980s and 90s. It highlighted the complex cultural interactions arising from the encounters between East and West and helped shape the rich common heritage of the Eurasian people. In the early 1990s, I was part of first project involving the Silk Roads expedition organized by UNESCO. Korea was one of the hosting countries. Since then, I can say that I've had a strong attachment to Silk Road region. As you are all aware, the Silk Roads are full of diverse cultures that have intermingled since ancient times. In addition to trading commodities, there was also widespread technological and cross-cultural blending, which is why some traditions have had widespread influence across various routes, leading to cultures of dialogue and peace. In a sense, Silk Roads created an atmosphere of rapprochement of cultures. It is well known that Eastern Turkic and Central Asian music were popular in Chinese music traditions, and many styles merged with Chinese musical tradition, which made significant contributions to China's choreographic culture. An example of this is Easterners performing in Constantinople. In addition, there were many exchanges between Central Asia and the Korean Peninsula in relation to introduction of Buddhism, and a lot of influences caused from exchanges in the economic, cultural, and art fields through the Silk Roads. Many material proofs suggest a volume of intercultural enrichment, which can be seen in terracotta molds of dances, masks, and musical group riding camels. In addition, many frescoes along the steppe route in eastern Turkmenistan depict musicians and actors, which are representations of intercultural synergy. ICCAP has implemented the field survey project targeting 35 states of the Asia-Pacific region, including many Silk Road states since 2009. Many reports were updated through other surveys. In addition, there was a recent survey project targeting the Silk Road states conducted by ICCAP and ICAS. As you are aware, there have been strong cultural interactions and mutual influences along the Silk Roads. In some areas, there are cultural similarities related to the prevalence of nomadic cultures, and accordingly, several multinational elements have been inscribed on the UNESCO list. Summarizing and illustrating several common challenges and tasks concerning ICH along the Silk Road found in the aforementioned survey project are a lack of an in-depth survey and research on the current status of ICH, insufficient institutional safeguarding measures, unsystematic inventory making and documentation capacities, and issues of informational accessibility and excessive commercialization. With these in mind, to address the challenges and tasks, ICCAP is looking for ways of connecting ICH stakeholders, including communities, through a network where the stakeholders can promote their ICH through a framework that keeps the spirit of ICH. It is also important to raise awareness among the public and policymakers about ICH's significance. and the possibility of international cooperation through Silk Road's ICH network. I am so pleased to share our experiences and outcomes gained from operating a Central Asian ICH network from 2010 to 2019. ICHCAP has worked with most Central Asian states through field survey, online inventory making, digitization of analog ICH materials, and awareness raising activities such as developing ICH publications, video documentation projects, etc. Through this collaborative work, states could generate positive outcomes under the platform of an ICH network by establishing ICH committees to take charge of identifying and documenting ICH in each society, reinforcing institutional safeguarding system and implementing safeguarding measures, getting better recognition of policymakers and the public on ICH through more promotional activities publicly and privately, and strengthening communications and collaborations among various stakeholders to safeguard ICH. Based on our achievement from the Central Asian ICH network, I would like to propose to move forward in developing a broader network targeting the Silk Road region with upgraded functions. An old proverb tells us that those who build castles will be defeated, and those who pave their way will prosper. In this context, the Silk Road ICH network is proposed as a cooperative mechanism with the following features: supporting and identifying ICH of each state, implementing a system to respond to various challenges and tasks, disseminating a community-centered decision-making structure in the spirit of 2003 Convention, creating a platform for vitalizing information exchange to help raise awareness about ICH, contributing to promoting sustainable development and a culture of peace through cooperation in the ICH field. At this webinar and strategic meeting, presentations and discussions will be made to establish and operate such a network and future cooperation projects. And there will be various opportunities for future collaboration. We look forward to making this meaningful journey together through cooperative and multilateral partnerships with you. Let's move forward to recreate the glory of the Silk Road through intangible cultural heritage and our unwavering cooperation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sang-Yong Park. It was a good presentation to reflect on the meaning of this today's conference and ICH. Our next speaker has also in a great distance. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Alisher Ikramov, currently Director for Development of International Cooperation, ICAS. He has been PhD researcher in the field of theory of probability, mathematical statistics, and the stochastic processes at the Steklov Mathematical Institute in Moscow and Institute of Cybernetics in Tashkent. Simultaneously, he lectured at the University of World Economy and Diplomacy and Academy of State and Society Construction and Tashkent Islamic University with focus on aspect of intercultural dialogue and cultural diversity. In 1994 to 2019, he was appointed to the position of the Secretary General of the National Commission of the Republic of Uzbekistan for UNESCO. He's also contributed a lot to this seminar. He's going to be a talk about vitality and sustainability of the Silk Road ICH Festival. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Alisher Ikramov. I'm going to call on him.
Good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, dear Dr. O, for your kind presentation, introduction of myself. So I would like maybe taking into account the shortage of time, I understand I have just 6 or 5 minutes according to our schedule, but I will try to be very brief and very sharp and very focused. Ladies and gentlemen, my presentation is related with sustainability and vitality of the intangible cultural heritage festivals, which is along the Silk Road. There are many such kind of the festivals. Therefore, I mean, would like to be maybe more concentrated on some of them. So let me now start my presentation. Just a moment. So, my presentation is based on the survey which has been implemented with support of ICCAP in the 9 countries along the Silk Road. So we decided to start as a testing for 9 countries from the Far East to the Western Asia, and to analyze among 5 types of stakeholders what's the situation with the ICH festivals, what's the situation with the transmission of intangible cultural heritage, how the safeguarding measures are implemented in the state parties. And just to inform you that we had 327 respondents from 9 countries, and the survey being implemented with great support of consultants and experts from the respective member states. And I would like taking of this opportunity to express my sincerely thanks for the encouragement, support, and the very close cooperation. And I'm very pleased to see that all of them now attending our online conference as well as webinar today. So if you will look to this diagram, so you can see it's more or less uniformly distributed number of respondents from countries who have been under the studies for ICH. So what was the next stage for the studying of ICH festivals? We decided to make much more deeper interview research on some particular festivals which is maybe existing long time, or which is maybe one of the important from the point of view of the member states. So thanks to support and to recommendation from our national experts from the member states, we did interview research on 37 ICH festivals in 8 countries. So we just considered for the time being just taproot part of the Silk Road, because ladies and gentlemen, you know very well, the Silk Roads, there are many corridors in the Silk Roads. There are steppe routes, desert routes, there are maritime routes. There are many routes and corridors, and we decided to choose one of the parts, which is like steppe route part. And we discovered that ICH festival in most of one of the commonalities are used as a key element for regional development. And the second point, which is also very important in these member states, the ICH festivals is very important for the tourism promotion. Let's now look to more in details which country, which festivals being proposed by state parties. Like from Azerbaijan, it was proposed 6 festivals, like very important festivals, which could be considered as the first members of this networking of ICH festivals. And there is the domains of these festivals is very different. They're covering as performing arts or oral traditions, as well as other maybe part of the domain of ICH, which is clearly indicated in the 2003 convention, which is related with the social practices or maybe some indigenous knowledges on universe and on nature. It was the 6 festivals which been on the screen. You can see which been proposed by the national experts from Azerbaijan. So, for example, from Kazakhstan, on the first stage, they proposed 4 of these festivals, which is covering different aspects of ICH domains. And I could, of course, stop on each one of them, but I think during maybe discussion time we could discuss more in details on particularly some festivals. So, from Kyrgyz Republic, we also we received 5 information on 5 festivals, and we did studies on 5 festivals, which is also covering different aspects of ICH domains, starting with a big, huge event which been initiated by Kyrgyzstan several years ago, which is World Nomad Games and World Epic Festival. including as very particular festivals like OIMO International Festival or International Feld Festival or Festival of Traditional Music. So we know very well, ladies and gentlemen, so there are many festivals in the Republic of Korea, but we are, as a beginning, we decided to concentrate on 4 very famous festivals from Republic of Korea, which is one of the famous Endong Mask Dance Festival, and GGC Jungdari Festival, or Gangneung Danosh Festival, or Yonsan Bel Singjing Festival. So I think we will be discussing details, but most important is all of this festival represent different part of the Republic of Korea and different ICH domains. So from Mongolia, we was very interesting observations that most of the festivals very closely related with surrounding nature. So like Eagle Festival with or maybe Mongolian Thousand Camels Festival. Of course, one of the well-known famous festivals is Nadam Festival, but also from Mongolia been recommended a festival like Danchik Nadam Festival, which is very well localized and very much related with some local practices related with beliefs. So from Tajikistan, on the first stage being proposed one of the big festivals, which is actually huge, which covering all countries. It is Osipala Festival and Navruz Festival. And of course, there are many other elements from Tajikistan, and there are many local, many festivals in different communities. But for the first stage, for the beginning, we received this interview studies on 2 festivals. And from Turkey, we had very, very diverse approaches for the proposing of festivals, which is started with gastronomy festivals, for example, or maybe with traditional wrestling festivals, or maybe something which is more or less related with even contemporary, some tendency in the population, it's the International Orange Blossom Festival. So, and from Uzbekistan, we received 8 festivals, maybe because it was easy to communicate with ICAS, which is located in Samarkand. So we received information about 8 festivals, studies and deep studies for these festivals, which is covering again different types of ICH domains. What is maybe some like as outcome, what's maybe observation of these festivals now for your attention? So first of all, it is very important to understand that all objectives of these festivals are closely associated with awareness and successful transmission of local tradition and identity. Because when we're talking about the livelihood or maybe about the vitality, it is very important to understand that this festivals is promoting transmission. It is one of the key elements. The second one, that this festival, this safeguarding of ICH through these festivals been very important in terms of the representation of local practices worldwide. So these festivals are promoted representation activities. And another maybe element which is also very much common for these all festivals is that some ICH elements become very important assets for the social development programs and for the developing of creative industries. But here there is some challenges as well. We have to also concentrate on challenges of these festivals when we're talking about sustainable development, because each respondent had their own view on their own understanding. What does it mean sustainable development and how we can understand sustainable development of festivals? First of all, the main maybe observation or maybe our outcome from the research, we discovered that image or maybe identity of each festival. So it is like local production or local tradition. So we have to identify, of course, is the image of this festival or its own face vis-a-vis Silk Road or along the Silk Road. Second one, all these festivals which been mentioned above and maybe as well as during the sociological research of 327 replies, we understand that all of the festivals trying to attract foreigners, like for developing for cultural tourism, for developing of touristic infrastructure. But the interesting element that most of the participants of these festivals are local residents. So we have to admit that despite the fact that all these festivals open for the foreigners, for visitors, this is the main participants of the festival, it's local residents. So it is one of the maybe key elements for sustainability as well, the co-participation of local communities. What's the problem, challenges with these festivals? Despite the fact that they're increasing, they're becoming numbers. There are many activities organized within festival. Not only some performances, but as well as master classes, educational, scientific conferences, publication activities, museum activities. One of the maybe common problem challenge of all these festivals is the fund scarcity, or maybe insufficient and ineffective advertising of the festival. Therefore, I mean, it is maybe should be considered something in the future that public-private partnership should be maybe one of the way how to achieve this sustainability of these festivals. And of course, and viability and sustainability of each ICH festival very much depends on the community support, on the sense of belonging of the local communities. Therefore, we have to clearly understand. I'm finishing. We have to understand the benefits and the cost of the event.
Sorry for that.
I'm finished already. It's my last slide. Therefore, I mean, we have to be clearly understand on benefits and the cost of the event of each ICH festival. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we will be ready for answering the questions during the question time. Thank you very much indeed for your attention.
Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. We've been listening to the presentation on festivals on each Silk Road countries. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, after many interesting speeches by present speakers, you must be a little bit tired. But however, I'm sure that Mr. Dong-jo Yu, who is an installation artist, is an appropriate speaker to finish this session. Wonderful speeches. It's my honor to introduce him. Dong-jo Yu graduated from Hamburg National Art University. He has held about 90 individual and group exhibitions in Korea, Germany, Japan, China, Denmark, Switzerland, Hungary, and other places. Between 2004 and 2014, held a water performance and installation project which took place in 12 lakes and rivers in 10 countries. His main career highlights include jointly creating preventative art, performing an art movement and research group, and co-creating an art movement in 1993 with Professor Klaus Bohemler at Hamburg Art University. He is also a representative of a Korean Institute of Preventive Art and Research Association and president of Hanbat International Contemporary Art Association. Today, he will talk about the title of the Water Performance Installation Project, airing the further coexistence of humans and nature in the Silk Road region. So, with that introduction, I'll turn over the podium to Mr. Dong-jo Yu. Please welcome him.
So I would like to thank all the organizers for inviting me to this important forum. Beginning in 1979, I have worked to create installation art involving air, soil, and water, and I would like to say a few words about that. Today, the entire world is struggling to overcome crises such as global warming and water shortages, and most recently COVID-19. Although the policies of each country, along with modern science and medicine, may contribute to resolving these issues, I believe that the only true solution lies in the two values that we have learned and preserved by coexisting with nature throughout the millennia. These values are the minimum degree of conscience and self-sacrifice. I think these are connected to issues such as whether people are wearing face masks or not. The reason we try to save water is because we consider the final destination of the water we use after we are finished with it. To this end, we try to save water, but we also refrain from polluting the water. That is the minimum degree of conscience and self-sacrifice we must exercise to honor the water. Over the course of 11 years, from 2004 to 2014, in 11 lakes and 1 river in 10 countries, the Water Performance Installation Project, or WPIP, was made possible by the cooperation and close-knit network of the Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Korean Embassy, various individuals, art-related organizations, universities, and art galleries in each country. The project has a shared title, There is no water in the presence of water, and there is water in the absence of water. Ranging from 20 kilos to 180 kilos in weight, locally sourced swaths are gathered up to a number corresponding to the number of characters or letters that make up the word water in the respective language of each country, then cast into different locations at various depths across the lake. I perform a kind of prayer ritual, wishing that the rocks will not be found. This is because the discovery of the rocks will mean that we have experienced a tumultuous change. I've been using a key instrument for this ritual since 2006, namely a watering can. By watering the rocks in the lakes using a watering can and a kettle, I pray for the harmonious circulation of the water. In 2005, I started this installation project, and allow me to briefly introduce the two lakes where I conducted my project in 2013 and 14 in particular. Lake Baikal in Russia is the deepest lake in the world and known for its outstanding water quality and biodiversity. The lake is 636 kilometers long with an average depth of 744 meters and maximum depth of 1,637 meters. It contains around 20% of all fresh water on Earth. The largest island in the lake, Olkhon Island, is located off its western shore, and there is a rock called Shaman Rock on the western side of the island. The deepest point of the lake is located on the opposite side of the island from Shaman Rock, around 10 kilos off the eastern coast of the lake. It was there that I cast into the water a large rock weighing 180 kilos, which was carved with the letter B. BODA for water, which is water in Russian, only inverted upside down. Starting from that point, I sunk the rest of the rocks represent letters O, D, and A across a stretch of water spanning 70 kilos up to the vicinity of Olkhon Island. In Lake Titicaca, located 3,812 meters above sea level, there are 41 islands of various sizes. Among them, Taki Island is situated around 45 kilos in the city of Puno. The local residents traditionally wear clothes, hats, and bags that they or their family members craft by hand. In particular, the bell-shaped textile handicraft items that most men wear around their waist are known for their intricacy and exquisite details across the world. But they're also inscribed with an agricultural calendar and farming methods as well. In recognition of the transmission of oral traditions and textile handicrafts, Takil and its textile art were inscribed in the UNESCO representative list of ICH of Humanity in 2008. I purchased some of the belts and traditional hats that the locals are wearing and used them for a performance. In the Quechua language of the Incans of Peru, the word for water is unu, and since the language has no writing system, I wrote the word in the English alphabet. In the case of the Nile in 2009, I created a separate sculpture installation alongside WPIP at the request and with the support of the Aswan headquarters of the Nile River Protection and Development Agency. In the middle of the lake, there is a large island named Elephantine, which is home to ancient remains in the Aswan Museum. In the southeast of the island, there are nilometers, which are some of the most notable artifacts from ancient Egypt. The geology of the area, including the riverbed, consists entirely of red granite. This is where I carved the Arabic character for water upside down. This piece was titled Water of Nile. As this was in December, the peak of dry season, I was able to carry out my sculpture work on the islet. The water remains submerged under the river for the remaining 9 months of the year and gradually reveals the bedrock, bearing the upside-down character for water upon entering the dry season. At last, the character for water is reflected onto the river in its entirety. I have been told that many tourists visit Aswan to admire the two different kinds of water. Although Central Asia is largely consisting of arid deserts, mountains, highlands, and steppes, it is also home to numerous lakes and rivers. Among the trade routes that historically connected the East and West, the Silk Road refers to the road or route used for the exchange of civilizations and cultures among cities located across the deserts and oases of the region, in which water served as both a key instrument and source of livelihood. Another crucial factor that allowed the Silk Road to flourish was the character of the various peoples that inhabited Central Asia. However, for many years, the regions that constitute the Silk Road have been struggling as a result of global warming and water shortages caused by worsening desertification, which are significant obstacles to the conservation and continuation of traditional cultures. I plan on finding select rivers with outstanding vistas to install a sculpture representing the water of Silk Road, through which countless visitors will be able to witness two types of water and gain a new appreciation towards water. In addition, I will collaborate with artists from the countries located along the Silk Road to further develop WPIP and create an opportunity to rethink the issue of water and environment. The installation pieces are designed to independently embody and demonstrate the physical and cultural relationship between text and the subject that it describes. The indoor and outdoor installation of this piece, Three Kinds of Water, is no exception. Water continues to move and continues to interact with its environment. This installation piece comes to life when the word water meets real water. And for more information, I'd like to invite you to check the website. These upside-down words are a very important element in my installation art. In Jeju Island of South Korea, there's a tradition of writing the word water, meaning the ocean, on a piece of white paper and attaching it to the wall of the kitchen or above the stove, where fire is often used, based on the belief that water will overflow and subdue any fires. This is a case in which people recognize the power of written text in real life and wish for a corresponding effect. Climate change, global warming are melting glaciers and evaporating the water that serve as a source of rivers and lakes in Central Asia at an ever-accelerating pace. Though there have been various multinational endeavors to abate this phenomenon, the absence of a clear response has come to highlight the need for greater cooperation among Central Asian nations. The Water Performance Installation Project aims to continue out of its wish for the ecosystem of humanity and nature in the Silk Road region, restoration of the spirit of water. While we cannot violate the physical property and power of water, we can discover clues for resolution to our current dilemma through the spirit of water. Water does not fight, but rather accepts all, creates harmony with its surroundings, and flows endlessly. And eventually, it becomes the whole once more. I would like to end with a short video of my project.
Thank you very much for your meaningful and interesting presentation that reminds us of the preciousness of nature. So far, we have a whole presentation from 4 speakers. Now it's time for discussion. I'd like to have the audience engaged fully in the discussion, so your comments, advice, and any other input would be appreciated. While the audience questions or comments are being prepared, let me ask some questions to the presenters. The first question will be to Ms. Helena Noverhoj in the order of presentation. Ms. Helena Noverhoj, thank you very much for your hard work and achievement. You have emphasized a new order and way of life and need to promote localization to escape from globalization and cultural uniformity. In my opinion, this localization can be carried out more easily in the post-corona era. What do you think? And this is the second question. In the post-corona era, is there a need to change the direction or strategy of the localization movement? If so, what would be? People nowadays in the post-corona era talk about new normals. So please also briefly tell us about the post-corona era localization. I'll give you a podium to you.
Well, after COVID, there is no doubt that people around the world have actually become much more interested in their local food economy and in their local community. in many parts of the world, there were very inspiring demonstrations that people were looking after each other, and they formed informal groups. Even when they couldn't meet, they still supported each other. Now, there is a very important truth, I think, which is that we are not going to go back to normal, whatever happens. Things are always changing. The danger is that our governments are locked into blindly supporting a more competitive, high-tech, globalizing path. And with COVID, there has been an acceleration of the dependence on the screen, on Amazon, on Google. And this is a very dangerous direction, because we need a balance between dependence on international communication and the global infrastructure. And we must restore the balance that allows local infrastructure and local face-to-face culture, the lived culture of people feeling connected to their community. As I said, particularly the intergenerational community that is still demonstrated in the cultures that we were hearing about today. Along the Silk Road, in those ancient cultures, there are still remnants of that intergenerational connection, the connection to nature, and the celebrations, the festivals that you're talking about represent that. But we need to make sure that this is not just for tourists, that this is actually a way of maintaining the cultural fabric. Unfortunately, most of it is for tourism. Unfortunately, most of the real interdependent human culture is fading away. So we have to actively support a different direction. So it's a question of restoring the balance between local and global. And that's to do both with the cultural vitality locally of face-to-face lived cultural experience versus a relationship to global role models, global ideas of who we should be. And we are in danger now after COVID of allowing our governments to support the globalizing high-tech AI, very competitive competition really to Mars to look for minerals while we destroy the minerals on the ground. We need to be restoring the soil, the minerals, the health of our ecosystems. We need to slow down. We need to create more collaborative relationships, both locally and globally. COVID has definitely helped to create a platform where more people are looking for solutions. I want to make a big plea for the big picture, a holistic understanding that where we understand that we cannot separate economic development from cultural development, from ecological sustainability. We have to understand the impact of the globalizing path on culture and ecology. And it means we need to change the economic trajectory to support cultural diversity and biodiversity. I hope that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your answer. I have a good understanding of the new way of life and strategy in the post-corona era, thanks to you. I'm sure that after this, maybe from the floor, the other question may be possible. Next, I will ask to second speaker, Dr. Sang-Yong Park. I have two questions. You have been working on intangible cultural heritage in Central Asia for the past 10 years. You said that intangible cultural heritage can be a driving force for sustainable growth. Can you describe a specific case for this? This is the first question. And the second question is, this conference started with your ideas, and I know you have been leading. do you have a specific idea of the mechanism or system you want to create through the Silk Road network? Simply, we want to listen your Silk Road network system briefly. Please go on.
Thank you, Ms. So. As for first question about the role of ICH, in the sustainable development, we have been collecting many cases about its role of ICH, to contributing to sustainable development. So for some years, we could come up with several publications, dealing with this topic. So you can access to ICHCAP's website for more information about this feedback from member states. If I, briefly explain the impact of ICH to the sustainable development, it is widely acknowledged that the ICH has a strong impact on boosting cultural tourism and economic development, as well as environment protection and ecological sustainability. And at the same time, it also strongly boosts the preserving and transmitting cultural resources, such as traditional knowledge, as a cultural resources, for the next generations. So these are very important components when we speak of the role of ICH to the sustainable development. And as for second question about the future network of Silk Road ICH, it is, basically we have some direction to formulate this network as a very ICH community-based and inclusive network. So today and tomorrow, we are going to hold a strategic meeting of this network. So we are going to deal with the operational issues of future network. At the same time, we're going to handle this issue very specifically for the future to get more feedback from the stakeholders along the Silk Road. So we'll have a more clear pictures after having collective intelligence from the Silk Road region. That's it.
Thank you very much for your answer. I also have personally researched in Central Asian countries for the past 10 years, and I felt that importance of intangible cultural heritage was very great. And I hope that intangible cultural heritage can create economic effect and a good system or plan can be prepared for the solidarity between Silk Road countries. This time, question for Dr. Alisher Ikramov. I have two questions. I am grateful for the great work that has been done in relation to the intangible cultural heritage of Central Asia over the past decades. First of all, can we create a system that can develop the Intangible Cultural Heritage Festival as a tourism project between Silk Road countries? If this happens, it will create a great economic effect through economic cooperation between the Silk Road countries. And I think that it will be able to contribute greatly to solidarity and communication between Silk Road countries too. For example, I'll give an example. There's a case where the Turkic Council, you know the Turkic Council, which is who speak Turkic languages, and they recently developed a Silk Road tourism project and made it possible to freely travel through Silk Road visa. This kind of program can be happen. And the second question, this is a little bit long. When an intangible cultural heritage was developed as a tourism resource, as this festival became commercialized, are there any concern of losing the traditional values or original meaning? If that happened, how can you prevent it in advance? These two questions. Thank you. Dr. Alisher Ikramov?
Yes. Okay, thank you. So I think the answer to your question is very simple. To both your questions, could you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, excellent. So it's very simple. Yeah. To both your questions, the answer is yes and yes. If you remember the first question you've been answering about to what extent it could be related with cultural tourism and ICH festival. So, and to what extent it could promote solidarity between countries along Silk Roads. The answer is simple, yes, of course. But here I am very much in line with what Helen said just before me. We have to keep balance. So the tourism should be not a purpose just for the developing of the festival. So the main purpose should be really to preserve, to safeguard this, and safeguard in the form of to encourage the transmission of these local traditions, local values, all of this maybe uniqueness because of this representativeness of any local communities or local groups or individuals, like we're calling ICH practitioners, right? So we have to keep this in balance, the balanced development of the strategy for cultural tourism vis-a-vis preservation and benefits for the local tradition, for those who are safeguarding of this tradition from generation to generation. Second question being related also with the issue of the commodification, possibly challenge with commodification or maybe commercialization of ICH. Yes, there is a challenge. Again, so my reply is yes, there is a challenge. There is a potential problems with that. Therefore, when in my presentation I reiterated once more again that what's important is that we have to every time think about this benefits and about the interest of local communities. And in terms of course, in ICH there is no notion like authenticity because life is changing. Life is changing. And traditions which been, for example, existed in medieval time now already transformed on the different forms, modalities, etc. So life not staying in one place. So, and of course the tradition also is a subject for change time to time. But nevertheless, we have to think that the commercialization could really have negative impact to the preservation of these local traditions, local practices, social practices, or in other words, in the scientific research papers, there is a phrase like folklorization. So we against, I mean, we should not be in favor of folklorization when there are some folk activities are starting to be something like just for the public, for the tourists, for some visitors on the stage, etc. Because we have to think, like Helen said, about the harmonization between cultural diversity and biological diversity. So we have to respect these interrelations, interlinkages between environment, surrounding environment, as well as with human society.
Thank you very much for your answer, and you focus on very important factor actually, the making a balance between the safeguarding and preservation of intangible cultural heritage and making economic effect is very important. I hope that for the solidarity of the Silk Road countries, there will be a system in which items such as the Intangible Cultural Heritage Festival can be utilized. Lastly, I'd like to ask Mr. Dongjo Yu. Actually, there is also many dispute over water between Central Asia countries. It can be seen in the dispute between Uzbekistan and Tajikistan through Amur Darya, Amur River, which is the biggest river in Central Asia. Have you ever think about to try to installation art in the Amur Darya for the symbol of dispute of Central Asia over the water? And then second question too. This is the second question. The depletion of the Aral Sea in Central Asia is a very serious environmental problem. Do you have any plan to use this installation art to the Aral Sea? These two questions.
Thank you for your smart questions. I guess today is warmer than yesterday. I guess this week warmer than last week because of climate change, global warming, I guess. I think there are variations of the water levels in Amur Darya River. So I plan to implement river project in Amur Darya River to raise the issue of saving water. Second, for second question, it's kind of a natural disaster caused by human being. Ironically, it proves the importance for the environment protection. As my field is preventing art, I would like to cooperate with the artists in the region to promote the issue of Aral Sea as a good experience education venue. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your opinion and plan. You emphasized spirit of water in your presentation. I think we never forget this. Water does not fight, but rather accept all, create harmony with its surroundings, and flow endlessly. And eventually, it becomes whole one more. This is very impressive. And actually, this is a time for the Q&A session for the audience. But maybe I'm sure that there is no question. Yeah, no question. Can you get a?
The Zoom chat?
They checked the questions. Please give me a time. Actually, today we are talking about ICH its meaning and the function of how we utilize ICH in terms of cultural heritage for the solidarity and communication in the Silk Road countries. There are very good ideas and experience we shared together. This is very meaning time, and first time we get together for the conference between each countries. And especially during the time of today, because of the corona situation, it's not so easy to make a organized conference, these kind of things. So now I would like to thank one more time to organizers, to EACHCAP and ECAS and KF2. They are ready. The answer question is ready. There is some question why this conference is. In this conference, there is a presentation or some talking about Silk Road, even though we are talking about ancient time, the root of Silk Road. In this network, what is the function or role of China? I think for this question, Dr. Sang Yong-bak is the exact person to answer. Please.
Actually, we haven't excluded any countries along the Silk Road. Actually, ICAS has tried to invite and induce the participation from the member states. Yeah, definitely, China is a very important country as well as partner for future ICH networking in the Silk Road. So, in terms of implementing the recent survey projects targeting Silk Road, the festival, yeah, in these projects, the organizer could not, invite some countries, but for the future collaboration, I think we can fully invite the member states from the Silk Road area, including China. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that maybe next time actually this networking system can be all secret countries will be welcomed. So I thank you very much for your kindly kind of questions, and I think this session should be finished here due to the time. Thank you to all the organizers, presenters, and audience for hosting the meaningful event. Please remember all the meaning of the sacred intangible cultural heritage and pay attention to continued strategic meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for Professor O for moderating, as well as the participants. The webinar was highly informative and gives us a great deal to think about. Now we will take a short break and we will reconvene at 3 o'clock in about 5 to 10 minutes. Welcome back. I'm pleased now to present our next event, the online strategic meeting on Silk Road's ICH networking. Today we will hold the first session, which is about case studies on vitalizing the Silk Roads, specifically on ICH festivals and sustainable development. I invite Mr. Sunyoung Kim, the director of the Korea Central Asia Cooperation Forum for the Secretariat, to take the chair as the moderator for this session. Mr. Kim is currently the executive director of his organization. Among his many achievements, he has also served as special advisor to the Executive Secretary of the United Nations, Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peterson, for the warm introduction. Also, I'm so much happy to be here with you. This is Sung-in Kim, as introduced, Korea Central Asia Forum Secretariat. I understand. I believe the Forum Secretariat would be a little bit strange to you. So let me shortly brief you on the Secretariat. The Secretariat, the Korea Central Asia Forum is the intergovernmental organization between Korea and 5 Central Asian countries, including Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. Mostly the Silk Road, along the Silk Road countries. They are covering the very comprehensive cooperation activities, including social, economics, and cultural as well. The Secretariat is now assisting the forum, and also this is behind the rationale. We are actively engaged in the ICHCAP. The full name would be the International Information and Networking Center for Intangible Cultural Heritage in the Asia-Pacific region, and also to join this honorable ICH in Intangible Cultural Heritage networking, the meeting here. I think the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage is getting more active and also very systematic, and also international community as well. They emphasized the role of local communities, and also many local government also encourage their communities to join in the safeguarding intangible cultural heritage, and also the promotion. And also the UNESCO member countries also highly command the role of the local communities and also potentials when it comes to protecting and safeguarding intangible cultural heritages. But in the meantime, the current system to encourage local communities' engagement needs to be maybe strengthened. Today, we'll address how the ICH festival influence and also effect on local communities. So let me, today, more than anything else, I'm so much happy to take the role of moderator here. I'm wondering, is it possible to check through online today's participant? Is it possible? So I'm wondering if you can hands up. Dilshad Laimi, Deputy Director? No? Okay, okay, very good, very good. And also, on behalf of Shaburia Sholtong ADLB Director General, Mr. Chinara Bulshin Baip. Okay, and Kanjada Yesenrapu Chairperson. And also, I understand now okay, also the Director Kim Joo-ho here, and also Ambassador. I certainly believe Ambassador Chiwato Jumaip certainly join our session. Then now let's go into the main session here. First, I would like to invite the Dilshod Lahami. Mr. Lahami is the Deputy Director of the Research Institute of Culture and Information of the Ministry of Culture of Tajikistan. He is also a member of the Economic Council of ICAS, the International Institute for Central Asian Studies. He has earned a doctorate in folklore at the Ludaki Institute of Language and Literature in Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Mr. Lahimi,
Yes.
Can you make a presentation on your subject here?
Sure.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
It's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Son Min Kim. I hope you can see.
Yeah, I can see you.
Thank you.
I can hear you.
So, sorry. Yeah. So my presentation is about ICH, the role of festivals for ICH safeguarding within local communities. In the case of Tajikistan. But in the beginning, I would like to tell you some words about ICH in Tajikistan. In August 17, 2010, the Parliament of Tajikistan adopted ratification on the safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage in the territory of the country. And Tajikistan became a member of 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of ICH. Following that, the national list of intangible cultural heritage in the territory of Tajikistan was prepared. This list was updated 5 times till today, and in my 31st 2012 was issued decree of the government of Tajikistan on safeguarding a project on intangible cultural heritage of the Tajik people for the years 2015-2020. Executive organizations are Ministry of Culture, Academy of Sciences of Tajikistan, Television and Radio Committee, and Departments of Culture of the districts, cities, and regions of Tajikistan. The goals of this project are to safeguard the intangible cultural heritage from disappearing, reviving some of good traditions, helping and supporting performers, masters in continuation of tradition. Also endorsing cultural elements accessible for wide use, study and preparing books, filming, musical discs, organizing folk festivals, cultural competitions, and different exhibitions. Compilation and publication of illustrated multi-volume encyclopedia of intangible cultural heritage of the country is another project's activity. Till today, we published 4 volumes of this encyclopedia. It is in Tajik language with full of illustrations. It's important to note that in the study of safeguarding and promotion of the intangible cultural heritage of the people of Tajikistan, put considerable contribution some public organizations. including Ilm va Ma'arif, Safi, Odam va Olam, Nuri Umed, Half Paikar, Raushan, Pamir Mountains, Association of Craftsmen, which are making a significant contribution. The Research Institute of Culture and Information, along with the study and research of art, library issues, and countries' media, it is engaged also in exploration, documenting, inventory making of intangible cultural heritage in the territory of Tajikistan. Since 2016, the book series on intangible cultural heritage of Tajik people is being published, which reflect the breadth and variety of results of painstaking work of the research members of the institute, of this research institute. So far, 9 volumes of this series were published. You can see the pictures in the screen. Additionally, in collaboration with ICHCAP in 2017, the book album titled Intangible Cultural Heritage in Tajikistan was released. In short, all of these initiatives are targeted to facilitate promotion, preservation, and protection of cultural heritage of the Tajik people. The government of Tajikistan also supports the intangible cultural heritage in the form of celebrations and festivals, as well as special dedicated days like Day of Traditional Music, Shashmakan, Day of Folk Music, and etc. In 2018 was declared as a year of tourism and development and folk crafts in Tajikistan. And after 1 year, sorry, here I had a short mistake. In 2019 through 2021, also like a continuation of this years of rural development, tourism, and folk crafts. So this supports of government help to revive many folk crafts. Now some words about festivals. Festivals are capable of demonstration and evolution of cultural traditions, as well as they put a considerable contribution to the development of tourism and local economy. In its broader sense, festivals may refer not to any particular event, but to expressive aspect of all human activity. Festivals provide researchers with rich sources of information about cultures. In many cases, festivals explain and dramatize a culture's mythology, religious beliefs, and symbolic information about the social and cultural worlds. The festivals also demonstrate traditional costumes, food, music, folklore, sport, and games. The festival have several social and cultural functions, due to which are provided their continuity. Hello? Hello?
Hello? Mr. Lahimi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry for
wondering,
slow internet connection.
There's some bad connection.
Let me continue.
I'm wondering, the
The
bands
festivals have
Mr. Lahimi.
several social and cultural functions.
Mr.
Hello?
Lahimi? Mr. Lahimi? Yeah. Can you can you make some screen sharing so that all people can see your presentation on the screen? I mean, the touch upon screen sharing.
Now it's possible to see full ekran.
Okay, now it's okay. Now our procedure just need let you go. Okay, you can do, but now start now.
Хорошо. The festivals have several social and cultural functions, due to which are provided their continuity. In festivals, a person experiences his or her membership in society and feels the collective solidarity. Festivals also include didactic elements, mainly structuring the young generations in the task of responsibility between other members of the society. They should follow adult people in the performing prescribed social and cultural norms. Festival also functions on a psychological level. It gives people a sense of national or ethnic identity, builds social integration, solidarity, and makes the friendship atmosphere. Now about popular, popular festivals in Tajikistan. There are different festivals in Tajikistan which can be categorized into seasonal like Nowruz, spring holiday, Mehergan, harvest festival celebrated in autumn. Sada is the winter festival in January. Another category is culinary festivals, like Oshi Palau, national food, festival of bread, musical festivals, Shashmakam in March, folk music Falak, also festivals of folk crafts like Diori Husn, Bozori Hunar, festivals of traditional dresses, Jilvei Chakan, traditional embroidery dresses, Atlas, Chakoymegesu, and others. Also, there are folklore festivals like Andaleb, agricultural festivals like Holiday of Honey, or Festival of Honey.
Hello?
Honey.
Mr. Lahami?
Holiday of Melon, Holiday of Pumpkin, and some others.
Mr. Lahami? Thank you very much for your, maybe we are able to time limitation for next speaker. So can you finalize your the presentation within 1 and 30 minutes? Can you? Yeah, yeah. Within 2 minutes, can you complete? Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So there are many motives for participants to attend a festival. First of all, they feel themselves as a member of community or of that society, which is considered main organizer of the festival. Such people try to put their contributions in planning, arranging, decorating, and controlling activities of the festivals. The festival have a great contribution to safeguarding ensuring viability of traditional events, folklore, performance, art, knowledge, and practices regarding the nature. And I had two examples like tradition of cooking sumanak in spring, a traditional sport. So I do not in detail to tell you. Thus, ICH festivals are a practical mode of transmission of traditional cultural values. Each of festivals and holidays consists of particular ICH elements which are transmitted along to the festival knowledge and practices from ancient times. Thank you for attention, and I'm sorry that
Yeah, thank you very much. The
finish in
Deputy Director Dalshad Rahimi, and also in particular, you provide a good information and inspiration. How much the local community is important when it comes to safeguarding the intangible cultural heritage. In particular, I'm much impressed by your comment. Yeah, the festival is the kind of activities, not the partially all humans activities much touched upon your comments. I'd like to also invite Ms. Chinara Bolson-Bayepu on behalf of Shabria Sholtong Eldieba, Secretary General. Now you're on the screen, so Ms. Chinara Bolson-Bayevsky?
Yeah, Bolson-Bayeva.
Yeah, also, I'd like to ask you some small favor of you. When you see your screen, on the bottom line of the screen, you can see the sharing code. So you can put touch upon, then everybody can see share your code there. Can you? Okay. Yeah, starting.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me express the sincere gratitude on behalf of the National Commission of the Kyrgyz Republic for UNESCO to the ICHCAP and the participants of this webinar. And I'm glad today to present about this presentation about the ICH festivals in the Kyrgyz Republic and its influences and effects on local communities. So today, in today's presentation, I will talk about the ICH festivals in the Kyrgyz Republic, and of course there are a lot. But to present, I've chosen two festivals, which are the festival Kyrgyz Shurdagı and Nomad Games. These two presentations are great examples to illustrate the community participations as well as safeguarding and transmission of the ICH elements, and of course the main subject of this presentation, the influences and effects of this festival Kyrgyz Shurdagı and Nomad Games on local communities' well-being. So generally talking, ICH, intangible cultural heritage of the Kyrgyz people are determined by the nomadic lifestyle and rich cultural heritage. and embraces, therefore, the Kyrgyz people embraces all ICH domains, which are performing arts, social practices, ritual and festive events, knowledge and practices concerning the nature and the universe, and traditional craftsmanship. And accordingly, all the ICH festivals features the crafts, folklore, traditional horse games, felt hunting with the birds, and all these ICH festivals are launched with the aim of safeguarding and transmission of the ICH elements of the Kyrgyz people. For example, we have specific festivals dedicated for the safeguarding and transmission of the ICH. For example, traditional felt carpets. We have festivals like Oymo International Festival or the Kyrgyz Shirdaga, which I will talk later on, for the safeguarding of the traditional felt carpets. And we have also the special the festivals like World Epic Festivals for the safeguarding and transmission of the oral tradition or the art of the improvisation, or many other festivals. That reflect the traditional folklore, traditional games, culture, and customs of the Kyrgyz people. And the government of the Kyrgyz Republic is making a great effort in safeguarding and transmission of the ICH after the ratification of the 2003 Convention of UNESCO 2003 Convention for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2006. The government of the Kyrgyz Republic launched the national program for the safeguarding, promoting, and popularization of the ICH in Kyrgyzstan, as well as Kyrgyz Republic adopted the law for the safeguarding of the intangible cultural heritage in 2012. We also have the specific department for the safeguarding of the intangible cultural heritage under the Ministry of Culture and Tourism and Information of the Kyrgyz Republic. But needless to say, in Kyrgyzstan, the communities, the concerned communities, the barriers and practitioners of the ICH elements are very active in safeguarding and promoting the ICH by themselves. So basically, it's the approach, and these all ICH festivals mostly are organized by the initiative of the barriers and practitioners themselves. So the ICH festivals in Kyrgyzstan are conducted on multiple scales, which are on local, national, and international levels, with the support of the local and national administrations, as well as in partnership with the Ministry of Culture of the Kyrgyz Republic. So accordingly, the festivals have the great contribution to concerned communities in safeguarding and transmission of the ICH, the popularization and visibility of ICH elements among the general public as well as among the youth, and also the establishment of the networks not only on local or national level but also on the sub-regional or regional levels, as well as the well-being of the to the local communities. So so to illustrate the ICH festivals in the Kyrgyz Republic, so I've chosen to present about the Kyrgyz Shirdaga and later on Nomad Games. These festivals started for the revival of the ICH in the Kyrgyz Republic. So basically, after the independence in 1991, the local communities and concerned communities across the country started working on revitalizing and celebrating their traditional culture. So they started to building connection across the country and identified many challenges on safeguarding and transmission of the ICH. So basically, one of them were the loss of the traditional knowledge and skills of ICH elements, and the other one was the lack of interest among the younger generation. So the festival is Kyrgyz Shirdaga is basically a very good example to illustrate For after the gaining independence, the traditional felt culprit were under the serious threat of being lost, and by the initiative of the barriers and practitioners themselves, the element was inscribed on the list of ICH in need of urgent safeguarding in 2012. At that point, the craftspeople across the country, they established the crafts union of the Kyrgyz people of the Kyrgyz Republic, and this union basically is an association of crafts people across the country, the purpose of which is to safeguard and further develop the handicraft. Later on, they started to launch the different festivals dedicated to the safeguarding of the traditional felt carpet or the handicraft. One of them is the Kyrgyz Shurdagı, which is held annually in Naryn region, with the participation of the all crafts person in all regions of the country. And the main purpose of this festival is to popularize craft and arts, as well as to support the barriers and practitioners of the element. Basically, within the framework of this festival, different fairs, markets, exhibitions are held, and this festival is highly attracted by tourists. So as a result of this festival, the quality and design of the traditional felt carpet have been improved, and the growing interest among the general public as well as the youth have been increased, not only on buying the felt products but also in manufacturing the felt products. And of course, the development and marketing and tourism, for example, the interest of tourists in buying felt products, and the felt products is developing, the export of the felt products is developing every year. So here I've the diagram illustrates the effect of the festivals and master classes for the felt product sales only in one region within the period of 2012 and 2019 in Issyk-Kul region, and you can see how the product felt product sales have been increasing year by year. So the other example is the Nomad Games. This festival also started by the initiative of the traditional game practitioners and barriers, and well, actually, the Nomad Game Festival started on the provincial level, and it conducted in all 7 regions of the country. It started to share the results of the documentation that are held to raise the general public's awareness. So the traditional game barriers started the documentation process, and as a result 120 traditional games were identified with the 375 regional varieties and techniques, and with the same game. So accordingly, these game rules and techniques have been documented and invented. So to share the results of this documentation with the general public, the Nomad Games at the national level have been launched just to share the results. And the festival consists of the 3 elements, which are the learning workshops, presentations,
yes,
and
Ms.
game
Bolson-Baipa,
competitions.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think your time's almost done, so maybe I'll give you 2 minutes more. So within 2 minutes, you can.
I will shorten.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, as a result of the Nomad Games, as a result of the national Nomad Games, the safeguarding and transmission have been increased. For example, you can see the number of practitioners arose, as well as the strengthening link between the other ICH elements, because the national Nomad Games gives a great platform not only for the traditional game practitioners but also to other intangible cultural heritage barriers. because there are a lot of fairs, markets, concerts, and performances are held, and it also fostered the revival, the revival of the ICH. Craftspersons, they started to making the yurts, for example, the traditional headdresses like akalpak and elecek, and they all lead to the economic benefits. And as a result of the national nomad games, the World Nomads Game have been launched in 2012 with together with the concerned communities and the government of the Kyrgyz Republic. So the World Nomad Games is the biggest project. And it was held 3 times already in 14, 16, and 18 in the Sikul region. And the number of participants to participate in the World Nomad Games have been increasing year by year. For example, in 2014, only 62 countries participated, and in 2018, there were 77. And the VNG, the World Nomad Game, has fostered, of course, the safeguarding, popularization, and also it supported the different scientific and research works, because as a result of the World Nomad Games, there was different researches and scientific works have been done. Also, it strengthened the international intercultural dialogue and cooperation around the world. And the result of the VNG is the contribution to the science and cultural heritage networks. Different networks have been established by the barriers and practitioners. For example, Salburun Federation is the 17 countries, Kokburu Federation in 10 countries, and ITISH in 62 countries. It also gotten attention from the white media, for example, and then it increased the public awareness, especially among the youth. You can see the hashtags and publication on Instagram and Facebook, like in social media, there are a lot of publications dedicated to the World Nomad Games, as well as to notice the World Nomad Game website has been visited 32 times by the 2018. So as a result of the Nomad Games, many tourists are started to be attracted in Kyrgyzstan, boost the local economy, and of course it led to the well-being and the livelihood of the concerned communities. As a result, as a conclusion, I want to say that these all ICH festivals have an effective, are very effective in safeguarding ICH and contributing to the livelihood of the local communities, as well as the establishment of the networks and establishment of the networks, raising the awareness, and then of course the well-being of the concerned communities.
Yeah.
Thank you for your attention.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bolsonbayev. You the highlight and also well explained your facilitation effort to develop continuously the ICH the content, and also in particular I am very much impressed by the ICH elements and also the various festivals, including the Nomad Game. In the end, I certainly believe that the value of brand is now going up, and also external attention also is getting increased. Really appreciate you. At this time, I'd like to invite the next speaker, specialist, Mr. Guljak Nokerbek. I'd like to invite you. It's now your turn on the title of ICH Festivals, Influence and Effect on Local Communities. Can you hear me? Mr. Nokerbek? This is Sung. I'm the moderator. Mr. Nokerbek, you are ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I want to ask you, can you
okay, sorry.
add the Ms. Hamzada Isyanova now? At first, she wants to say some words, and after I will read the report. Хорошо.
Dear Mr. Kim Chil-yoon,
Oh,
dear Mr. Dmitry
hi,
Vayakin,
how are you?
dear
Yeah.
Mrs. Chung Chae-suk, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, whom I am happy to see here. First of all, let me welcome everybody and express thanks to organizers, UNESCO, ICHCAP, and ICAS for this opportunity to discuss the important role which intangible natural heritage plays in everyday life and festive events of the local communities at the Great Silk Road. For the benefit of our mutual understanding, I ask Gulza, my assistant, to read all the text of my intervention. She has much better pronunciation. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me?
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. I'll give you 10 minutes, around 8. You are now, the time is left around 8 minutes, so maybe you can finish your presentation by 3:50.
Okay. Cultural heritage continues to be deeply tied to perceptions about nationhood, authenticity, and deep, enduring roots that we developed during the 2 recent centuries. Whether being classified as tangible or intangible heritage or natural heritage, it has become a major cultural resource and pillar of sustainable development. Several nation-states have adopted measures to promote the maintenance of rituals and various bodies of knowledge, occupational skills, and art that are transmitted orally, by gesture, or by examples, and there is a strong competition to have elements of the national ICH nominated on UNESCO's representative list. There is also strong interweaving between the tangible and intangible. The intangibility of cultural heritage is articulated through the materiality of culture. In paradox, the tangible can only be understood and interpreted through the tangible. In our first overlook of the interviewed group of ICH-related groups in selected provinces of Kazakhstan, almost 52% of the local ICH festive events have been established less than in 3 years, and 44.4% were functioning about 5-7 years. Today, the viability and sustainability of the ICH depends largely on financial resources to support it. 37 and 2% of the local festive events were supported by the local authorities from the municipal budget. 23.3% received support from the cultural centers and 14% from public associations. Some festivals follow traditional art performance, like Yer-Yebege Novaylı Dövrünün Jırları National Festival, which promotes revival and development of the unique art Jırшы Jırау. Ulu Dala Әнмен Жыры Ақындардың Жеті Қыры is a national contest of oral folk poetry and song, and Жібек Жолы Singers Competition. Popular contests such Жан Серігім Домбыра of traditional singers Jırшы Jırау, a regional competition of traditional songs Жұлдызды Жекпе-жек, Жескиек Music Festival, and Ғасырлар Үні Festival, Forest and Decade attract participations and visitors from whole country. In Kostanay City, the Deshtor International Festival tries to link ancient art technologies to the modern cultural communication. In Kazakhstan, the national museums have a long history of promotion of the crafts fairs. For a decade since 1997, this was a single annual crafts fair under ethnomusicology supervision. However, in 2010-2020, the numerous irregular events appeared in various provinces. Туған жер, туған ел, бір халық, бір ел trade fair of national cousin and clothing in conducted Ақтөбе. Ұлы Дала Көшпенділер әлемі festival is conducted nearby Almaty city at the cultural heritage site of Baralday Saks Burial Mounds. The site location is very close to Issyk, where the famous Golden Men have been founded. Ulu Tagzam enrolled from Ulutau International Ethnographic Festival, which refers to the ancient traditional knowledge of nomads. The sport and national games festives event are considered to be the most effective and attractive. The revival of tradition facilitated the establishment of the National Sports Festival on Kazakh Kuresi, which is very popular at all areas and provinces, and hunting with Burkut and Tazı. One more type of ICH-related festive events which is not explored in Kazakhstan should be mentioned. Places of worship have impact on sacred and secular visitors, and supplement other existing man-made and natural tourism products and services provided at destination. Finally, it is important to mention new type of Kazakhstan festive events which are oriented at social network platforms, like the Spirit of Tengri. The Spirit of Tengri is the largest festival of contemporary ethnic music in Central Asia and is one of the most prominent international cultural projects, not only in Kazakhstan, but also in the countries of Central Asia. Over the years, the project has been attended by teams and performers from 80 countries and regions of the world. The project has been recognized in the global music and gained some fame abroad. The Spirit of Tengri presents its members at the WIMEX International Music Forum. This is the first Kazakh project that is presented on this international platform. The second festive event is Toy Kazan. Toy Kazan is an enchanting celebration of the national cousin of the people of Kazakhstan, based on the idea of friendship and brotherhood, all the ethnic groups living in the country. The festival targets active users of the social networks, bloggers, social activities, their families, friends, and colleagues. The organizers have a good link to global social media, and the total information coverage of posts releases about the festival held in 2013-2019 amounted about 280 million people. The involvement of the intangible cultural heritage of individual regions, countries, and areas in the industry of tourist services remain relevant. But the tangible and intangible cultural heritage will play an increasingly important role in the contemporary information society, as it is an area of human life that preserves memory, which will more often attract the attention of local population and the tourism industry, and be the object of the promising investments. Kazakhstan has adequate prerequisites from promoting an intangible cultural heritage. The ICHCAP new initiative of bringing the modern IT technologies in presenting the rich diversity of cultures Asia-Pacific will provide an excellent opportunity to demonstrate and promote folk art, goods and services, promote and develop historical and cultural values. It will strengthen intercultural dialogue, trans-ethnic communication, and ensure the transmission of the people's cultural significance to the level of the international community. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Specialist Guljak Nokerebek. Through your presentation, we are well aware of the Kazakhstan's effort, how the Kazakhstan is the make effort to facilitate the development of the intangible cultural heritage. And also, we are also very much interested in the very variety of the festivals like Jubanov, Ritaro, and also the other regional, the Jabek Julie Singers Festival. You just showed me through the screen, and also in the end, I believe this kind of the long-known effort, outstanding effort, this kind of festival will be developed into the global the festival, the worldwide, all people could enjoy. Again, thank you very much for your intervention here, and also I'd like to invite our Andong Mask Dance Festival chief, the director Kim Joo-ho, In terms of the saving our times, I'd like to omit some introduction of the Director Kim, but anyway, he's like has a great influence on the distribution, dissemination of the Andong Dance Festival towards the, in particular, internationalization. Okay, let me introduce the Mr. 김조 팀장님 좀 불러주십시오.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As introduced, I am Joo Kim, and I'm the head of the festival team of the Andong Festival Tourism Foundation, and it's a great honor for me to be here today. I would like to talk about what kind of festivities and festivals impact the local community. We heard about the cases from Central Asia, but I would like to now bring it to Korea, especially the Andong Mask Dance Festival, and how that actually impacts the transmission of intangible heritage. Well, first, let me give you some more information on the region Andong, where this Mask Dance Festival takes place. Andong has to do with let's say, a comfortable drive. So An means safe and comfortable, and Dong means dynamics or drive. So you can see that it's here, located here, and you can see the distance from Seoul. And it has the third largest region or administrative region in Korea. It has been impacted by the region and as throughout the eras, but you can see that in terms of in terms of religion, in terms of culture, Andong was able to preserve its very balanced state. So in terms of the folklore, you can see that we also see Confucian as well as Buddhism. And in addition to that, Andong is also very well known for its many cultural heritages. So many people also tout Andong as the capital of the Korean spirit. I'll have to go into some of the World Heritage cities. The Andong Hawae village in 2010 was designated as a World Heritage. And you can see that the Bongjeongsa Temple in 2018, and the Pyeongsan Confucian Academy in 2019, and Dosan Confucian Academy in 2019, it was designated as the heritage. And in 2015, you can see that there was also the manuscripts, and also in 2016, there were also additional designations, and these designations are located in Andong. When you think of cultural heritage, you may think that it's something that was actually cherished by the higher class. But you can see that for Handong, we also have the Hawae Pyeolsingu Talnuri, which is an intangible cultural heritage. And this actually has to do with coexistence of the Taedong world, where the noble and the middle and low class are together in harmony. So this mask dance in 1997, the Andong Mask Dance Festival came into its being. So if I may go into some of the contents I would like to cover today. I want to first focus on how we've been able to realize folk values and transmit intangible heritage through this Mask Dance Festival. So my first background would have to go into the contents of the festival and the birth of the festival. And the second part has to do with what kind of folk values and how we were able to transmit intangible cultural heritage and create that Taedong world. And I believe that this conference is online because of COVID-19. And if you look at the festival, it of course is impacted greatly by COVID. And you can see that there are a lot of untacked or virtual meetings in place. So in the post-COVID world, what kind of festivals, what kind of form should these festivals take? I would like to also talk about that in the latter part of my presentation. So here you can see that mask and mask dance are universal, and it's basically the general culture of mankind. Wherever you go, you can see masks and also the mask dance. It exists in all countries around the world. So through the mask and mask dance, they've tried to realize a free and equal society. Once you have the mask on, anytime you would be free from any judgment. And in addition to that, you can express what you want to express. And with the mask, despite of the social class and gender, you are not discriminated. It enables an equal society. In Andong, from 800 years ago, there's the Hawae Pyeolsingu Talnuri that's been transmitted. And this Hawae Pyeolsingu Talnuri, you can see that it has Gang-o and Songshin, which includes a game as well as ritual, as well as festivities all included. So all of the values of the mask and mask dance and the history of Andong and the cultural value of Andong have been brought together to create this mask dance festival. For 10 days at the end of September, we have more than 1 million people coming to watch the Mask Dance Festival. It's now truly a flagship festival in Korea. And this Andong Mask Dance Festival has led to enhancing the image of Hahue Village. Many of the VIPs would, of course, visit to the Hahue Village. In 1999, Queen Elizabeth and President Bush, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and even President Moon Jae-in all visited the Hahue Village, and they also saw the mask dance performance. And this mask dance festival takes place on a Friday, the last Friday of September, for 10 days. You can see that it takes part in the Mask Dance Park in Hahue Folk Village all around Andong. Some of the event programs include performances by international and Korean associations, and along with the Andong Folk Festival, there are a myriad of programs. We also have mask exhibitions as well as experience programs, and there are many of these experiential programs that are very well received, so anybody can actually participate and enjoy this festival. And particularly, you can see that this festival is not only about tradition, it's about modernity and the tradition coming together, and it's also about creating a new culture. If you look at these mass dance festivals and competitions, there's also these various performances that are brought together both home and abroad. There are these collaborations that use tradition as a motive, but there are also many attempts that are encouraged. So then, what kind of value does this festival have? Let me give you some more information on that. You can see that everything has the 6 W's, but especially the Y is a particular element that we have to go into. It has to do with the reason behind the existence of such festivals. You can see that once again, it's about creating a Taedong world, an equal world. The basic fundamental of the festival has to do with taking place in a non-ordinary situation. This actually has to do with strengthening the relationship between the Yangban, the noble class, and the Pyeongmin, the middle and low class, which is quite abnormal if you look at their everyday life. So the lower class can actually exude their frustrations, and the noble class, with the satirism, they can understand what kind of situations they are in to reduce social turmoil as well as resistance. In other words, it's about communications and coexistence between the two classes and have them be brought together through the Mask Dance Festival to create a Taedong world or equal world. And we also have a civil and a Taedong festival where everybody comes together with their masks, and with the mask dance, everybody can work in harmony. Of course, we may have different languages, but with the dances, you can actually relate with one another, and you can create an equal society. So it has a fundamental function of equality. And if you look at the mask dance, it's also about transmitting this intangible cultural heritage. In Korea, we have associations that have been designated as a national intangible cultural property. And you can see that these associations and other various organizations come together to transmit this knowledge and culture. So you can see that through this folk festival, we see a growth, a development of the intangible cultural heritage. In 2022, it's preparing to become an UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage, so we're thinking about the nomination. Andong has, of course, many heritages, but if it does become an intangible cultural heritage, it can actually be have a designation on all 3 fronts of the heritage list of UNESCO, and I think that that would be a pivotal or milestone event if it does happen. Recently, due to COVID-19, Andong Mask Dance Festival could not take place this year. You can see that with this flagship festival not being able to be put on stage, of course, relevant other local festivals all could not and had to be delayed. COVID-19 is something that cannot be anticipated, and some do say that we cannot go back to the pre-COVID years. However, of course, we need to find a way to respond accordingly to the post-COVID world. Many people have been focusing on the non-face-to-face festivals, online festivals, or only receiving limited reservations to have just a limited number of participants. So these may be some alternatives. There may be SNS as well as real live streaming. And archiving can also be a way to have people enjoy these festivals. These festivals as about bringing people together, but in the untapped world, we really need to put together the right methodology to engage ourselves in these festivals. I hope that we can have some further discussions and debate on this. But I would like to say that this is not a challenge just for Korea. It's a challenge for the international community. Festival has unlimited possibilities, and it also enhances vitality. So once again, it's a common challenge for all. And last but not least, I do have a 2-minute video, and let me just end with that. Thank you.
The tradition of praying to the gods has been long cherished among Koreans. Dancing with a mask on is one of the favorite forms of this practice. Korean mask dance has now become a festival that unites the world's people as one. Various masks are brought together to form a mosaic of unique colors. The city throbs with pulsating music and dancing. And competitions are held in hopes of bringing prosperity and a good harvest. People create memories while making their own masks. And the growing intensity and excitement of the performances brings everyone together. After the beautiful flowers drop and fall, colorful fireworks embroider the night sky. Wearing masks, performing dances, praying for luck. A place full of joy. If you are ready, will you join us?
Let me conclude my presentation.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you very
you
much.
so much, Director Kim Joo-ho. Yes, indeed, I certainly believe Andong Mask Festival is now the most representative, the best, one of the best representative festival in Korea, and also Dr. Kim, the Director Kim also well introduced. Now the Mask Festival is now earmarking as a representative content which could introduce Korean culture to overseas countries. I certainly believe that the kind of behind the rational, the realization of potential, its potential is possible because of the devotion and passion of the local community. In particular, it is much also, I'm also impressed by their wish. The registration UNESCO in tangible cultural heritage UNESCO. Yeah, I think I believe your dream will come true. And also your video footage on the mask festival also very impressive and interesting. Thank you very much. Also, the time has come. It's already our last speaker here. The last but least, I'd like to introduce our final speaker, Ambassador Shohat Jumayev. Are you ready, Ambassador, Mr. Ambassador? Now, you are now the make a presentation on the future of Turkmenistan and ICH. Thank you for your joining us here.
Thank you very much. Morning, everybody. Here in Paris is early morning. For that reason, I am addressing you with good morning. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you for delivering me the floor and this opportunity to have a speech. I am confident that this webinar will play an important role in the extensive research of the history of the road and become an effective platform to define its present and future development. Dear colleagues, excellencies, the Great Silk Road, whose history extends back thousands of years, holds a prominent place in the history of
Disconnect. Yeah, connect again. Now our connection is bad at this time. So for time being, the shortly will be disconnected. So why don't you stay here? Sooner or later, our line will be connected soon. We are very sorry to you to disrupt you. The line is now on the process of the connecting. Is already. Okay, I think it will take a little more time to totally restore to the our regular session. So, in terms of utilizing our time here, let me shortly review the questions through YouTube.
Sorry, we had some technical problems here in Paris.
Oh yeah, you come back. Can you hear me, Ambassador, Mr.
Yes.
Ambassador? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Keep going on. Yep.
Dear colleagues, excellencies, the Great Silk Road, whose history extends back of thousands of. Yes. Dear colleagues, the Great Silk Road, whose history extends back thousands of years, holds a prominent place in the history of humanity. By promoting the development of friendly relations between the peoples of the world and strengthening links and cooperation between merchants, this road united many different peoples in ancient times. Old forts, caravan series, historical and cultural monuments keep the glorious chapter of the history of this caravan route. The Great Silk Route today is more than a traffic route between certain geographic locations. It takes on an important political, humanitarian, philosophical dimension. Throughout many centuries, the territory of Turkmenistan served as a crossroad of Eurasian routes, the meeting point for cultures, civilizations, customs, and traditions. And today, at the new phase of history, we review timeless values of the Silk Road and do this together with our friends all over the world. Major works that are carried out to research and promote the historical importance of the Great Silk Road become a true manifestation of friendship, humanism, and good neighboringness. Nowadays, Turkmenistan pays special attention to the popularization of the phenomenon of the Great Silk Road as a factor connecting the nations and cultures. The subject was comprehensively revealed in the book of the president of Turkmenistan titled Turkmenistan Heart of the Great Silk Road, based on the facts of the national history, extracts from the ancient legends and stories and modern events in the country. One of the priority topics of the international agenda of Turkmenistan in regard to the implementation of the UN Agenda 2030 is the cooperation of our country with the UNESCO. I would like to note that in the result of joint work with the UNESCO structures and its experts, we attained visible outcomes. It is important to underline recent online meeting of His Excellency Mr. Rashid Meredov, Deputy Chairman of the Cabinet Ministers, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkmenistan, with Her Excellency Madame Audrey Azoulay, Director General of UNESCO, where the parties have discussed a wide spectrum of spheres of cooperation between Turkmenistan and UNESCO. Today, the cultural monuments such as ancient Mayor Könergenç, Parthian fortress of Nisa, epic art of Turkmen people Görogli, Turkmen national art of signing and dancing Kushtekti, as well as the Turkmen traditional art of carpet making are inscribed in the list of World Cultural Heritage of UNESCO. We are intending to continue further the implementation of the cooperation potential with UNESCO. Taking this opportunity, I would like to mention that territory of Turkmenistan is still rich in monuments, which in antiquity were the most considerable places of the Great Silk Road. They are the magnificent and unique architectural masterpiece of the past. An epoch of the Silk Road that lasted for the 15th centuries left thousands of monuments along its road from the Mediterranean to Far East. Many of them are located in Turkmenistan. It was the time when such cities like Merv, Könergenç, Amul, Zem, Seras, Abiver, Nisa, and Dagestan appeared and turned into real medieval agglomerations. Under the leadership of the President of Turkmenistan, Turkmenistan pays great attention on the study and safety of historical monuments located along the Great Silk Road and the cultural heritage of the people through identification, collection, and promotion of national values. Today, the specialist of the National Department for Protection of the Minister of Culture of Turkmenistan study and continue restoration work of historical and cultural monuments of Turkmenistan. Also, they are working with their colleagues from the other countries and with their UNESCO expert on the inclusion of the part of the Silk Road on the territory of Turkmenistan to the World Heritage List under serial nomination. I would like to highlight that fifth meeting of the Coordinating Committee on the World Heritage Serial nomination of the Silk Roads of UNESCO was organized on 4 and 5 December 2018 in Ashgabat, where the participants, including national focal points and experts from 13 UNESCO member states, realized a list of decisions for further activities to preserve and manage the heritage sites along the Silk Roads. The Ashgabat decision included further strengthening the collaboration between the member states on diverse projects related to World Heritage nominations of the Silk Roads. Also, I want to inform that that works is underway on preparation of nomination dossier Silk Road Zarafshan Karakum corridor for the inclusion to the UNESCO World Heritage List. I would like on this occasion to thank the International Institute for Central Asian Studies for supporting and coordinating the above mentioned nomination. As is known, Akhalteke horses and Alabai dogs are the loyal friends and faithful companions of Turkmens throughout centuries of the history. They are an integral part of the intangible cultural heritage along the Great Silk Road. The preservation and popularization of Akhalteke horses and one of the oldest dogs breeds, Alaba, is important in order to protecting the world cultural heritage. In this regard, Turkmenistan is currently actively working to include in near future the nomination art of Akhalteka horse breeding and specifics of the selection of the Turkmen Alaba into the UNESCO intangible cultural heritage list. Dear colleagues, Excellencies, in conclusion of my speech, I would like to thank once again for the opportunity to have a speech. I wish to all participants of the webinar good health and success, peace and prosperity of the peoples of your countries. Let me now to show short video prepared by Turkmen side dedicated to our future nominations, which are the Turkmen side proposals to inscribe into the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List. Thank you for your attention. I think our colleague from the Korea will help us to start our short video if it's possible.
The octagonal star of Oğuz Khan also has a deep meaning in the selection of a beautiful image of a horse as the center of the sacred symbol of our people that imbue the national pride and accomplishments of independent, permanently neutral Turkmenistan. State symbols are the face of the state, the heart of the people, the spiritual world of the nation. Today, in the prosperous epoch of the powerful state, the inspired Turkmen people have turned the image of their national pride, the Akhalteka horse, into the splendid decoration of the state flag. In the prosperous epoch of the powerful state, thanks to the personal efforts of our national leader, the increase of the number of pure-blooded Akhalteka horses doing scientific work by the scientists on the uniqueness of natural colors and the origin of horses, as well as creation of favorable conditions for promotion of equestrian traditions, have become one of the priorities of state policy. Our winged horses have remained to be a historic miracle in the national and world culture, have turned into a symbol of the success of our country, a symbol of the realized dreams of our ancestors. Development of Akhalteka horse breeding has been brought to the forefront of state policy in Turkmenistan. In 2010, on the initiative of the Turkmen leader, the International Akhalteka Equestrian Association, headquartered in Ashgabat, was established. In the past few years, it has become a reputable organization that includes the number of equestrian enterprises engaged in the breeding of pure-blooded Akhalteka horses, training of high-speed riders for equestrian sports, as well as the increase in the number of scientific hippologists and other specialists. Today, the association includes legal and private members from more than 30 countries around the world. The state policy of horse breeding in Turkmenistan, pursued under the leadership of the esteemed president, is aimed at creation of favorable conditions for efficient development of horse breeding. First of all, preservation of purebred Akhalteka horse as a wonderful miracle of the world culture. Rare and unique features of Akhalteka have been preserved for many centuries. Natural and geographic features, as well as skills of the Turkmen people, conditioned the creation of such a unique breed. It deserves a lot of attention of not only historians but also horse breeders and selectionist scientists. The world important events happened in the historical homeland of Akhalteka horses contributes to the further enhancement of prestige of Akhalteka horses and the widespread of national equestrian traditions around the world. This is another proof that the values created by our wise forefathers are being perpetuated. Turkmen Alabais have been recognized as very intelligent, extremely brave dogs. They are also considered to be very sensitive, watchful, and especially unique in terms of protection. They develop the ability to get used to the owner, adapt to them, and become people's closest companions. This means that the Alabai are in favor of good, as our national leader says. Turkmen Alabai feel free, therefore it is not easy to give up any of its habit. They look at strangers with suspicion. They have more aggressive attitude to other dogs. The attitude of Alabai to the family members is, however, pleasant. They become more affectionate with the children of this house. In the absence of parents, Alabai takes care of the children, does not be separated from as it has been taught. As it is known, for many years esteemed President Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov has attached great importance to the collection of information on the history of Alabai dogs to effective excavations in the areas of Ceytun, Altıntepe and Marguş. which are considered to be the ancient sites in the country. Thanks to the efforts of the esteemed president, the Institute of Manuscripts was established in Turkmenistan, and its scholars have gathered a collection of historical information and manuscripts related to national values created by our people. During the course of research, along with other valuable information related to the history of Alabay dogs breed is constantly being discovered. The discovery of dog tombs during these excavations in Margush means that the ancient Turkmen Alabay played a special role in the protection of the people's prosperity and state borders. The date of creation of the clay states of the Alabay found in Altıntepe dates back to the BC times. The fact that the side of the dog bones found during the excavations corresponds to the body structure of the Turkmen Alabay indicates that the breed of these dogs are very ancient. This year, the Turkmen Alabay Dog Association has been established. The establishment of this association is based on the task set by the esteemed President Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov to pass on to the next generation the best traditions of National School of Sinology and continuously register and increase the number of Alabay dogs by using the popular elections, methods and modern achievements of world science. Alabay has successfully passed the centuries-old test of life. Therefore, establishment of the Turkmen Alabay Dogs Association will greatly contribute to the worthy continuation of its historical pedigree in the new era.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Shoat Jumayev. And also, you duly highlight that Turkmenistan pay great attention to the phenomenon of popularization, Great Silk Road popularization phenomenon, and also your government, the engaging the policy, including UNESCO. I mean, including the nomination this year, and also the last video footage on the horse breeding and also beauty of Turkmenistan. Really, very wearable the beauty of the Turkmenistan here. Again, thank you very much. And also, we have another maybe I think 17 or 18 minutes are left here. It's time for panel the discussion. In advance of jumping into the panel discussion, I shortly sum up today's discussion because normally and after that we need to respond to the couple of questions which has been raised through the YouTube. I understand now today for today 5 speakers they commonly address the intangible cultural heritage of festival, the influence and effect on local community. In particular, in commonly local communities in the safeguarding of local community is very the safeguarding of the local the intangible cultural heritage is very important, and also the ICH festival are key cultural the event for celebrating World ICH, and also had a very positive effect on the economic, tourism, and also social cultural sectors of those local governments hosting them. And also today, I think today, you 5 speakers, you answer to the fundamental questions. Why community participation in safeguarding intangible cultural heritage is important? Because you answered, communities play a important role in production, safeguarding, and also the maintenance and recreation of the ICH. And also, then you also raised the question, how to strengthen the role of communities? You also answered. The communities groups and also individuals concerned should be encouraged to help them safeguard their the tangible cultural heritage. I really appreciate your participation here, and also we may have some couple of questions, but in advance of jumping into the questions raised by the YouTube our leader, I also would like to make a small question to all of you because now. Of course, local communities engagement is very important. However, in order to encourage local communities engagement in cultural heritage, there might be some tasks or some challenges. For example, how to raise awareness of those issues, and also how to set priorities and or draw attention, and also the central government, how to get over dependency for financial support, how to build his strategic relationship and partnership with international the institutions or communities. Maybe I think my question to sum up would be in order to facilitate local communities engagement in changeable cultural heritage, what would be the major challenges? What would be the facilitation? Maybe but I cannot invite all of you because of the times our time limitation. The Deputy Director Dilshad Rahimi, are you ready? Maybe you can say something on these matters.
Да, можно на русский. На русский. Так, смотрите, по конвенции, статья 2, второй параграф, нематериальное культурное наследие определено в следующих доменах, областях. Например, устные традиции, формы выражения и плюс язык, включая язык как носителя нематериального культурного наследия. И второй, исполнительское искусство. Третий, обычаи, обряды, празднества. Четвертое, знания и обычаи, относящиеся к природе и Вселенной. И пятый, знания и навыки, связанные с традиционными ремеслами. Из этих 5 доменов все эти домены участвуют, то есть наблюдаются в контексте традиционных фестивалей. Я имею в виду в примере Таджикистана. Например, устные традиции. У нас есть фестиваль Андалеп, это есть фольклорный фестиваль, где есть формы выражения, как анекдоты, или исполняют песни. Исполнители искусства, естественно, это, например, фестиваль Шашмакан, фестиваль традиционная музыка, фалака, так, и обряды, празднества, это, естественно, само собой, это есть и как фестиваль Навруз, фестиваль урожая, праздник урожая. И связаны с этими есть знания обычаями, относящиеся к природе. Например, у нас в Таджикистане в празднике, в фестивале сада обычно дыхкане, то есть крестьяне, приносят саженцы, семена специальных пшениц и на выставке, и на продажу. И кроме этого, и там можно найти специальные уголки, которые дают советы этим работникам сельскохозяйственной культуры. И традиционные ремесла – это часть фестиваля, который во всех фестивалях есть такие уголки, выставки, продажа, продукты традиционного ремесла.
Thank you very much for your for your the kind answer. Also, I think it seems to be the fundamental the questions to jump into the another step in order to enhance the realize the potential of intangible cultural heritage. Let me move to another some small questions which has been raised by through the YouTube. The question would be, which countries participate in the Silk Road Intangible Cultural Heritage Network? Seems to be maybe the easy question, but I'll give you some chance to either Mr. Gulzad Nokerbek or Mr. Rustam Muzaffayev. Can you answer on these matters? Which countries participate in the Silk Road ICH network? Anybody can do it. Okay.
Yes, yes, Mr. Facilitator, thank you very much. Kazakhstan, but also Uzbekistan is participating in the network, and we are ready to respond to your question if you can formulate it. Sorry, I was absent for 2 minutes when you were mentioning it.
No problem. Okay. In terms of our some recording now, the Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, Turkey, Mongol, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Korea, Kyrgyzstan, Iran is now actively engaged in this networking the process here. Let me move to another the reader's question on what is the domain of intangible cultural heritage. It might be the conception or concept of the intangible cultural heritage. Can I invite the ambassador? Can you maybe it's the education process? Can you do it? To some answer. You are working for UNESCO. Disconnect.
Can you repeat, please, your question, because I didn't hear very well?
Yeah, a little bit disconnected. What is the domain? I mean, the coverage or the definition of intangible cultural heritage. It's like a more, but the theoretic question seems to be. But you can answer.
Yes. To be clear, we have translation here. Yes. From the English to from the Russian to the English.
여기 저 통역을 누가 못 하나? Okay, can you respond to us by English? Is possible? Because now in YouTube process maybe the simultaneous interpretation between Russia and the English is not seems to provide. So you can make answer by English.
I think is to your answer to your question is was given by my colleague from the Tajikistan. He defined very clear and very what it means intangible heritage, what can be included, what and which spheres, which how to say traditions, other things can be included. I think it was very clear answered by my colleague from the Tajikistan in your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate your explanation based upon your experience, and also the unique Tajikistan cases. Normally, in theoretically, the coverage of intangible cultural heritage does include the oral traditions and performing arts, and also social practice, rituals, and the festive events. Sometimes it may include the knowledge and practices concerning about the nature and the universe. And also it does include as well traditional craftsmanship. Very wide coverage, but this my answer would be totally based upon theory basis, and also the ambassador the mostly covered the experienced manner. Thank you very much. We have another question. No? Yes, I think the time has come. Now we covered our the questions raised by the YouTuber user, and we have around the 3 to 4 minutes here. Is anybody? I already in advance of starting our the panel discussion. I already make a small wrapping up the preparations already gave you. So is anybody to add further? Yeah, is anybody to make a comment or some suggestion? Maybe I'll give you 2 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. And also with this momentum, and also through this session, I realized that how it is important that our Forum Secretariat, I mean Korea Central Asia Forum Secretariat, needs to be engaged in this kind of the facilitation of intangible cultural heritage in which occurred in Central Asian countries, and also really informative, and also gave a lot of some ideas and also aspiration based upon your suggestion, based upon your presentation, and also based upon your comment. We'll make the more scrutinized roadmap in cooperation with each cup, very difficult. Each cup together will also make some scheme or organize the roadmap to facilitate Central Asia's intangible cultural heritage. Now I'd like to finish my comment here. Really, thank you very much for joining us, and also I'm looking forward to seeing you once we totally get over our coronavirus, either in Central Asian countries, or the Korean. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim and presenters. I'm grateful for the instructive and helpful information presented today. I hope the observers and participants found your session as illuminating as well. For members who are not part of the working group, the day has come to an end. Tomorrow, we will continue with the strategic meeting session 2, which will start at 1300 hours, GMT +9 or Korean Standard Time. I'm sure the sessions will be as enlightening and as successful as they were today, and I look forward to your attendance.